When did you start doing comedy?
2010.
What made you get up?
What made me do it the first time?
Yeah.
I was in the mortgage business, and in 2009.
College educated?
No, dropped out of community college to do Percocet and sell subprime mortgages in Long Island, which I still believe is what I will return to. I believe stand-up is a sabbatical from my true calling, which is to work in a strip mall and have great lunches, serious lunches, and take Percocet and telemarket mortgages in the tri-state area. All over the country, but the tri-state area we hit because you could go and sit down at the table and have a meeting. That I remember we were in the Melville Marriott, and there was a CEO of a really big bank there, and he was hammered. And he looked at me and a few young kids, not young, we were like 24, you know? And he said to us, he goes, boys, there's a cold wind blowing. And he was just knocking back booze. You know, this guy had a family, had a big house, and he was leveraged, you know, all this was, you know, he had, you know, so and I was like looking around the office, and I was like, we're done. We're dead in the water. It's like, it's over. It's over. There's no coming back from this. My life is done. And then I was like, I'm 25. I'm not educated. What am I going to do? And I walked into a coffee house tattoo parlor on Long Island because one of my friends gave me the name of an open mic. He goes, go do this open mic and see what happened.
Any interest in comedy growing up?
I mean, I loved like, you know, I would see Carlin. He'd be great. I remember once when I was coming down from Shrooms, first year of college, somebody showed me Bill Hicks, his set at Montreal. I think Revelations, or Relentless. I forget which one it was, where he's in the black turtleneck and he opens up. He goes, I was for the war. He goes, we had a war in the States. And he goes, I was in the unenviable position of being for the war, but against the troops. And I thought that was one of the funniest things I'd ever heard. And you're coming down from Shrooms, you're like, wait, what the fuck? Did I even hear that right? And I watched that set, and I was really like drawn into that. But I mean, as a kid, I loved SNL. I loved all that. And I was an actor from when I was 6 to when I was 12, child actor. So I was in plays. I auditioned for, you know, sitcoms in New York, all that shit. So I was like into theater and stuff like that. But nothing ever worked. I was a failed actor at 11. It was tough, you know. But I took a little break, and then 25, I got back in. So it was like I always had that bug, wanting to be on stage, wanting attention.
Once you got when you got back on that tattoo place,
yes.
How did you feel when you got off the stage?
I said, okay, this is where I belong. I fit here.
I
fit here. I said, I fit here, which was insane because it was a tattoo parlor cafe, and I said the place didn't even make sense, but it's Long Island, so nothing makes sense. Like when you would bomb, you heard the needle go zzz. And then somebody getting a tattoo would go, next. And then you go to the next joke. But I'm just going to keep coming back here. And I'm going to follow everybody here to the next place they go. And to the next place they go. And then I've just kept following people and going, where are we doing comedy? You know, and that's how I got into it. And then eventually that led me to New York. And then it led me, you know, years and years later to LA.
What year did you get on stage? 2010?
2010, September 2010.
When did you move to New York?
I moved to New York 2 years after that. 2 years after that.
And you were all in?
All in. Now, the first 2 years I was driving into New York City, and I did a lot of black rooms because black rooms would let you go up. You know, a lot of the alternative rooms, they were, you know, more selective. They were cunty, and you couldn't get into clubs. But black rooms would let you go up, urban shows. And they liked me. I was a big white guy. I was funny. And, you know, and they were really fun. My friends loved going to these rooms because these guys were killer. I mean, we'd see Mike Epps, you know, Smokey Suarez. These guys are just murderers. Some of my friends would come with me. And then when I went to the city, I started doing the alternative rooms, and, you know, girls would get up and open a Moleskine book. My friends stopped coming. They were like, we've had enough of this. But that's what I did primarily for like the first 2 years was open mics. And then I would do, you know, black rooms in Brooklyn and in the Bronx. And then I would do, you know, whatever you got. You get a club spot here, you get a club spot there. But then I moved in 2012, right before Hurricane Sandy, and I moved in with a married couple. And their marriage, they were just getting married. And that didn't last, that marriage. That was the second divorce I was maybe a part of. The first was my parents. The second one was, I probably share some blame for both of them. Because nobody wants a 25-year-old guy like me moving in with you when you just get married. It's just not what it is. You know, that's not, nobody's
Why'd
like,
you move? Were they friends of yours?
they had a cheap room, $500 a month.
Yeah.
And they were comics, and they go $500 a month. Listen, the building was built in 1911. It's a railroad apartment. It's a long hallway, and your room's on one end, our room's on the other. The shower is in the kitchen. So somebody's going to be washing their ass. Somebody's going to be making eggs. And the bathroom is in the hall of the building. But it's on 45th between 8th and 9th Avenue. You got every subway in the city. You have a rooftop. You could go up and smoke cigarettes and tell your friends how fucking good you did at the open mic, which I, would do all the time. And they go, you can live here $500 a month. So I said, done, deal, in. So that's when I went. That's when I would consider all in, because then you're living in that situation. You're living with steam heat, and you're 25, you're 27 at that point. I'm 27. I'm by no means a kid, and I'm waking up every day, because my foot touches a steam pipe, and you get a 3rd-degree burn, and then you're rolling out of bed, and that's when I was doing comedy every night, and then during the day trying to sell photocopiers in Staten Island. Yeah, it's
photocopies.
Yeah,
on
the
phone?
jobs get sadder.
Oh no,
the jobs get sad. But I'm a sales guy. I'm full of shit.
Me too.
I'm full of shit, and I'm with people that are always also full of shit. My father's full of shit. My grandfather wasn't. He was a contractor. He worked. He was real. Worked with his hands. Built things. Made
You're
things.
not full of shit. You have the gift of gab.
Well, I like the way you say it.
There's a big difference.
Right. It's a good
There's
point.
a big difference in being full of shit.
Right.
And being a gift of gab.
Right.
Okay. The gift of gab is you could just talk to people.
Yeah.
Make them at ease.
Yes.
And sell them a product.
Yeah.
Sell them a product.
Yeah.
That they don't need.
Yes. That they don't need and shouldn't have.
Okay. Whether it's, when. Here's the funny thing. What we do as comics, when we realize that sales goes into it, that's when everything changes in our game.
Right. That's true.
When sales gets into it. You could be the best comedian in the world. If you're not selling yourself, you're done.
You're fucked.
And it's so weird how my background in sales was impeccable.
Yeah.
When I bit into sales, I fell in love with it because I was uneducated.
Right.
I was GED, whatever.
Yeah.
And I knew I didn't want, there was a couple things I knew early on. A, I didn't want a day job.
Right.
That just was not going to work
Right.
in my world. And number two, I didn't want to fucking work for a certain wage every hour.
Right.
I wanted never to have a ceiling. That always made sense to me.
Yeah.
What does that mean? That you're a salesman.
That's exactly right.
Some months you're gonna make $800 and you suck it the fuck up.
And some you make $8,000.
And some months you make $8,000.
Yeah.
And you suck it the fuck up.
Right.
And somewhere, and then you learn how to balance it. You learn how to put away money.
The first month you make $8,000.
Yeah.
You're at a steakhouse. You got a porterhouse for two.
Fuck yeah.
You got a shellfish tower lobster. Put some blue claw crab on that too, please. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Let's get a couple of gin martinis. Let's do the cheesecake. Bring all the appetizers. Lobster bisque. Pour it in cups. We'll drink it while we eat the steak. And then it's like then you realize you have to pay taxes because sales is the 1099. They give you $8,000. You didn't make $8,000, by the way. You now owe money. So I would get a check and then I would go out and spend money, and then I'd realize, I owe money. Like I owe $4,000 of that goes to the government, and I didn't pay any of it. So that was something too. But when I got into comedy, the only job I could get was in Staten Island, and it was photocopiers and selling office equipment. Sad because when you're selling real estate or mortgages, at least somebody around you's got a lot of money, and you could look at them and be like, well, I want to be that. I want to be, my boss, this guy Tim, who had a big house and a pool. But when you telemarketing photocopiers Staten Island, everybody there is desperate, and they all have that job because it's in walking distance of their house, or they could take a bus. Many of them just had DWIs.
What do you mean bus? Half of them are halfway houses.
Right.
Half of them live in a shelter.
Yeah.
Half of them are toothless.
Yes.
They're alcoholics.
Yeah.
Half of those telemarketing.
Yeah.
House HBO hasn't developed a show
I pitched one
about
there. Yeah.
12 telemarketers.
I know.
6 people who are fucking serious about
dude.
life. and 6 people who live day to day, shoot heroin,
Right.
they got HIV, but part of the sales plan is cash.
Yes.
Okay, so there's jobs that, like, I had a great fucking job. I got a job at night when I did comedy right before I left for New York. I got a job from 5 to 9.
Yeah.
Easy.
Perfect.
5 to 9.
So those are the prime time
$10 an
hours
hour.
to pound the phone.
Pound the phone.
Pound the phone.
I think it was 10 an hour.
Yeah. And commission, plus commission.
25 an appointment.
Yeah. You appointment setter.
He was an assurance guy.
Right.
And all I did was
Just get him in the door.
He had a sheet that he had already had contact with.
Of course.
And it was 25
Well, that's the
an
perfect.
appointment. I would try to get 3 appointments an hour.
Yeah.
You get 3 appointments an hour, that's 75. That's fucking, 300-400 a night.
Yeah.
Plus the $8.
Yeah.
I used to sell cigars. Remember when cigars were popular?
Yeah, in the 90s,
I
they
was
were
an
insane.
open micer here.
Yeah.
When I became a regular at the store, the biggest job in LA was selling cigars on the phone. Sunset, right across from Rock and Roll Ralph's.
Yeah.
Where the hotel is, walk 50 steps, that building, there were 20 fucking motherfuckers in there. 10 of us were, actors, comics.
Yeah.
You had to be there at 5 in the morning, 5 or 6 in the morning. But the other 10 were fucking people who were toothless.
Yeah,
Who'd be
degenerates.
fucking drinking while they were fucking 5 in the morning.
Who was the better salesman?
Drinking. There was, listen,
Anybody can have a good day.
hunger is hunger, bitch.
Hunger is hunger, yeah. I the best salesman in
Hunger
my
is
office
hunger, bitch.
was a woman in the copier office. It was a woman named Ida. And they go, Ida just sets appointments. They said, sit next to Ida. So you train, you sit next to the top producer when you train. So you sit next to Ida, and this was the top producer at this till, and she looked at me. I'll never forget this because this just puts in perspective how fucked everybody was. She goes, I'm doing good this year, and if I do even better, I'm gonna get a car. And I went, oh fuck, she's the top. She's Mount Olympus, and she doesn't have a fucking car. I said, she doesn't have a car? And she would get on a bus every single day, and she'd set 3 or 4 appointments, get on the bus every day, make her money, and that's what she was. She was just a, she had the gift of gab.
If you got the gift of gab, you always eat.
Yeah,
I always say, what's the best motivator? Hunger.
yeah.
Who's the best salesman? Show me the hungriest guy in this motherfucker.
There's something cool about a sales office too, because it is a level playing field.
Every day you start
Every
at zero.
day. Every day you start at zero.
That's a tremendous
Yeah.
gift to
Yes.
teach somebody.
Yeah.
That you start at 0
Huge.
every morning at 8.
Nobody cares if
You're
you're
at
black,
0.
white, Spanish, gay, straight, Asian. No, it's about making money. It's about numbers on a
Bottom
board.
Fucking line.
Yeah.
You realize what the bottom line is of life.
Yeah.
I tell people a lot of, listen, there's people who are very intelligent in life. But if I fucking woke you up at 8 and gave you a fucking gun and said, have 500 by 5 o'clock, every day, this is how the life I lived.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
uncut gems for me.
Yeah.
I left at 8. I didn't know what I was bumping
And a
into.
lot of people that have never had to do that, if they just college or whatever, and they just got, certificates and degrees and they got licenses and their entire life was just a different track. But there's something about having nothing. Because when you're in one of those offices, you're telemarketing, nobody cares if you come in. They don't care if you come in. Nobody's going to call you and go, hey, are you supposed to be here? They might do that one day. They assume you're not going to come. They assume you're not going to show up. They don't give a shit because somebody's going to sit in that seat if you don't. It's entirely on you. There's nobody there that has any investment in what you're doing. You're the only one. Magic Spoon cereal is a no-sugar, low-carb, keto cereal that fits into any diet plan. It replicates all the sugar cereals that you had as a kid, whether it be Fruity Pebbles, my favorite flavor, they have fruity, whether it be Reese's Puffs, they have a peanut butter flavor. It's really, really good. Dan, my opener, loves the peanut butter flavor, because he's Florida trash. But still, I think it's very important, especially if you're on any type of diet, to be able to substitute a bowl of cereal for a meal replacement or a snack. It's very good. Magic Spoon is some of the healthy. Yes, it costs a little bit of money because
they're using like monk fruit extract and really like expensive high-end ingredients to sweeten it so they don't have to use sugar. It doesn't kick you out of ketosis, doesn't fuck you up. And they also don't use these crazy sugar alcohols. It's really all natural. So it's really important that if you're making an investment, you're making an investment in your health. I love Magic Spoon cereal. You know, I feel like there are people that don't understand how much Magic Spoon has changed my life. You know, before Magic Spoon cereal, I was a cannibal. I've never even told you this.
I didn't know that.
I used to eat people. I would eat the skin of a person. I would cook it and eat it. And it's uncomfortable to discuss this. And a few of those people I killed, hookers and truckers, and I would cook them. And I would eat their flesh, which was keto. Technically. Maybe not. I think it was. Some of them had sugar in their blood, probably. But when I tried Magic Spoon cereal, I stopped doing that. I stopped murdering whores and eating them. And I started eating Magic Spoon cereal. And I went to the police and I confessed. And they refused to put me in jail because they said, hey, white guy. That's what they called me. I said, I just killed a bunch of whores and ate them. They said, hey, white guy. We all have moments in our life we're not proud of. They said, what made you stop that? I said, I'm eating a keto cereal, very low in sugar, and I shared it with them. We all ate Magic Spoon cereal. And they helped me. Magic Spoon cereal is the official cereal of the police. So if you support the cops, support Magic Spoon cereal. A dollar from every box of Magic Spoon cereal is donated to Derek Chauvin's legal fund. Sometimes I do it just so we get the call. Because sometimes we're bored.
Yeah.
What is the offer here for these people? None of that's true, folks, of course.
Magicspoon.com.
Except the cannibal. I did eat people.
Magicspoon.com/Tim Dillon. Use the code Tim Dillon for free shipping.
Magicspoon.com/Tim Dillon. Use the code Tim Dillon for free shipping. It's a great cereal. I really love it. They're coming out with new flavors all the time. It's a great way to stay healthy and stay fit. I'll probably have some of it when I get back to Palm Springs.
Yeah, and they'll refund you if you don't like it. So
And if you don't like it, they'll refund you. But you're going to like it, folks. Stop.
What we have to realize is that we're Americans. We're deeply selfish monsters that have been bred to destroy all life on Earth. We have to not lose sight of that message. We're here to fuck things up for everyone else, not each other. And that's what we had in the 80s and the 90s. We had a commitment to apathy while our leaders ran around pillaging the earth. And we made great movies and great art, and it was fine. Yes, people got killed, but people always get killed. But now we're at war with each other. We should just be enjoying the spoils of the end of the empire. Truly. You should be enjoying it. So many people got killed, murdered, tortured, maimed for us to have all the nice things we have. Do you know how insane it is to not enjoy it? You know how crazy it is to not enjoy a McMansion, a flat screen TV, a McFlurry? You know how much blood is in the street for those things? And people act like they don't even matter. And they're fighting about all this bullshit. It's crazy. Anyway, that's the truth. That's the real truth. Nobody wants to hear it, but that is the truth. We have a lot of these things are nice, but some of them are ill-gotten gains. Fine. Not everybody picking tomatoes is happy about it. But have you ever had a nice Jersey thick beefsteak tomato? It's good. Imagine having one and then fighting with someone about something. It's stupid. If there's a hell world going, and if there's not, we get reincarnated when we're Beatles or something. But just enjoy it, and nobody wants to enjoy it. And that's what makes me upset. Is that we used to have a country built on enjoyment, built on fat, stupid people enjoying the work of a small group of demons, and now we can't even enjoy it. Can't even have fun.
That would be the only way to get us out of this.
That's right.
If we ever realize that the problems that we have with issues are far smaller than the problems the issues that we agree on. Like, everybody agrees we have to have less crime. Everybody agrees that we have to have more education. Everybody agrees that we have to have safer streets and
Yeah.
safer cities. Everybody agrees that.
That's right.
And the things that we disagree on, will people disagree on like how to make those things a reality though?
Yeah.
How do you have less crime? Is it by letting
Well, it's also
people out of jail?
us being
Is it-
divided helps. It helps people who want to just continually operate in the system as it's constructed. And whether that is the system of perpetual war or the system of the banking sector, the dominance of the financial sector, or the system is tech companies set up to have these political relationships, how they're presently constituted, people who are thriving in this system and using it to their ends do not want it changed. And people hating each other helps them.
It definitely does. Do you think that that's just human nature
Yes.
and you're just doing it while this is happening, or do you think it's orchestrated? This is the question, right? Is the
Yeah.
dissent and is some of it? We know it's manipulated by other countries.
Yes.
We know that China does it. We know that they have these huge Russian organizations that
Yeah.
in their troll farms.
Yeah.
You know, we know that that's going on. The idea that we wouldn't do that to ourselves if we were trying to get people riled up about each
To
other.
an extent, is probably an inherent flaw in democracy, but I'm glad I lived in one, and I'm glad I lived in the time I did. But I do think, a democracy kind of descends probably into an oligarchy eventually. The vast majority of the citizens go, I don't want the responsibility of citizenship. So a few really highly motivated psychopaths go, we'll handle it. We'll take it from here. And then those people are fighting over their own interests constantly.
Do you think it should be illegal to pretend to represent a human being when you're a corporation that is promoting your own needs? So do you think that like a corporation that hires, whether it's a foreign corporation, let's say it's a foreign one, so it's not connected to us, that hires a company to propagandize about a specific political issue that's going to be a
Yeah.
hot button target, and they do it as a bunch of people that attack people
Yes.
and go after people with dissenting opinions and quote tweet them and attack them, and you find out it's not even a real person.
Right.
That should be illegal. That seems to me
Yes.
like if we're allowing that in this country,
Oh, yeah. But we'll continue to allow anyone with enough money.
right, but don't you think
Yeah.
that thing right there, just that's insidious? Like
Yes.
pretending you're a person for a specific propaganda and having it like 1,000 accounts, and
Yeah.
you're running it through computers, and you've got people that
Yeah.
are responding to things. You got
Yeah.
people that are just retweeting things and posting things, and it's all just
It's
propaganda.
insane that the Congress, the Congress members who went and started trading stocks based on the knowledge of how bad coronavirus was still have jobs, right? All of this is kind of insane. We're just at peak insanity here. And there's, I mean,
Are we at the peak?
I don't know if we're at the peak, but it's we're close to it. Like I do believe with the way things are going, and you're looking at some really crazy trends, and I don't know when they come to a conclusion, and if they do, without something, a war or some violent or whatever. But like it is just, we're living in a time now where we all know everything's fucked, but we're mostly powerless to change it. And that's when societies start to decay past a point, and everybody just kind of sits back and watches it like a show, and it just descends into eventually something that becomes more and more unmanageable. And then either a strongman dictator type comes in, or there's some massive war that resets things, or there's some natural disaster. But it feels like we're kind of at that point, That's why I'm glad we lived in the era that we lived. And we really should just be happy. We should be really happy. We should go, it's nice that we got the run we did, because it's not getting better. I mean,
Here's what's interesting.
or maybe it will, and God bless.
When I was a kid, I remember reading about like the fall of the Roman Empire
Yeah.
and the fall of the Greek Empire, and then I was thinking about America.
Yeah.
And I was like, is this thing gonna go away someday?
Right.
Is that possible? Is it possible that this is just one? I mean, we want to think it's fucking permanent, but I bet the people of Rome felt the same way.
Of course they did.
This is how it is. This is how I live
No,
every day. This
yeah.
is not going to change.
Right.
And Russians know.
They know.
They know.
that
They
their
know it.
society's collapsed.
They've been through it.
Our society will go down. Nothing will ever be funnier. America will come apart in one of the funniest ways. All of these people, these grifters, everybody circling the wagons, the Caitlyn Jenners, the Donald Trumps. It'll be funny till you'll die laughing. Literally, you'll die, but you will be laughing. It will be the most absurd and insane thing. It will be out of a fucking dystopian horror movie, and no, it won't be funnier than America, because we're a crazy country full of crazy people, and everybody's just trying to suck the last few dollars out of this bloated pig corpse of an empire before the end. And I'm no different. Watch my special and subscribe to my pod. What am I going to fucking sit here? What am I going to go preach on a fucking mountain? We got to make a little money here. But make no mistake, I mean, if I'm wrong, and I'd love to be wrong, but if your attitude or your idea is that the population's going to get smarter, healthier, and more adept at problem solving, you're on fucking crack.
Oh, yeah, probably. You're probably right.
Yeah.
Well, what happens next? Like, do you think we ever descend into some sort of like CCP controlled world, like that kind of totalitarian government? Do you think it's possible that through technology and just through people just falling apart, getting losing their fucking minds, thinking it's the right thing to do?
I think what happens next is we'll just have, these giant oscillating swings between right and left. And then I think, eventually it'll get to a point where large areas in the country are unlivable for a myriad of reasons, perhaps crime or homelessness, climate, whatever. Very well-off or well-connected people will have these kind of enclaves this is already happening. And then there'll be, a fight to be in one of those two groups. And then eventually a dictator, a strong man, somewhere down the line, some man or woman will come in and go, this system's fucked. I am going to run things. And they will run things in a way, and it probably won't be for the best, but like the system will collapse. But I don't know if we'll see it, but it will collapse. There's no way it doesn't. It will collapse to a degree. And someone will come in and go, yeah, these elections are all fake and it doesn't matter anyway. Why do you fuckers need to vote? Here's a coupon for a chicken sandwich. And people go, I like chicken. And then, people just go, fuck it. They don't care. And then you go, there'll be Netflix and there'll be Domino's and you'll sit in your house and they'll say, well, you can't drive today because of the climate. And people go, yeah, it's Tuesday. Can't get in my car because of climate. And you'll sit there and they'll feed you poison and you'll watch TV. And a few people will riot, but very few, because most people will be pacified by the goodies, which they'll still probably have. And, the leader will come on and tell, they'll be like, hello, everyone. And you'll go, hey, there. And it'll be a celebrity. It'll be someone you know. It'll be someone you're very familiar with. And they'll say a couple of things and be like, it's not that bad, is it? And they go, no, it's not that bad. And they'll feed you the propaganda, and you won't remember when you were free, and you won't remember. And most people will be fine with that. But me and you will be dead. And it won't matter. And we'll have experienced the best of it. We'll remember when you could get in a car without a tracking device. We'll remember when you didn't have a fucking tracking device attached to you at all times. We'll remember when you could say what the fuck you want, alienate people, piss them off, and no one really cared, and it didn't matter because you could wake up the next day and say, sorry, I was drunk, and it wasn't on fucking Twitter. People didn't have a record of what you did and what you said and where you were and who you fucked and everything else. We will remember true freedom. We're one of the last groups of people to actually be free. And we should all thank God for that, because the hellscape that's about to be created is going to be so bad they won't even know how bad it is. It won't even feel like they're in prison, because those offices we talked about, people, they get to like them. Oh, there's creamer today. French vanilla. It's your favorite. Ugh. It's coming. It's coming, and it's going to be so bad it won't even feel bad. But we'll be like, shit. remember when you could do all those things you can't do anymore. But, you know, and there'll be a few people that remember it, and then they'll take all those books about that shit and burn the fuck out of them. They'll go, well, those aren't good. Racism, homophobia, it's not burn. And people will forget when you were free, and they will just kind of create a society based on goodies, little rewards, and the addiction to celebrity, where our leaders will all be celebrities who will tell you on closed circuit television how good things are going. And you'll go, good, thanks. That's what's going to happen.
That was one of the best rants I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah.
That
Well,
was fantastic. I hope you're wrong.
I hope I'm wrong, or if I'm right, I just hope that I'm dead. Or I get to be one of the people who's keeping everyone else in the cage.
Because God only knows. I'll tell you this, man. Those DoorDash people see some shit.
Oh, God, dude. First of all, lest we forget, the people that have had to go to people's homes, brother, they have to go into the trenches
Well,
of
sometimes they get killed. Sometimes people kill them. Sometimes you have a burrito in your car and you're driving it to someone's house, and that is going to be the last thing you do on this earth. The last thing you do is walk a soggy burrito to a guy's house, and instead of just taking the burrito and saying thank you, he goes, I'm going to kill you now.
Yeah, he said,
And then they kill you.
yeah. They say, welcome to Memphis. Okay,
Yeah,
brother.
welcome to Memphis.
And the crazy thing is, a lot of the people inside who know they're going to kill you,
Yeah.
as you're walking up, murders have gotten so advanced with like ambiance and
Yeah.
production.
Yes.
That they will even play,
Yeah.
There Goes My Hero.
Right.
From like
Right.
a yard plant,
Yeah.
speakers hidden in yard plants.
Yeah. As you're about to go. And then
Watch
you're
him as he goes.
and you're laying there and you're bleeding out, and one of the last thoughts you have is, this song is great. Yeah. This is a great song.
Yeah.
And I'm sad I won't be able to hear it anymore. It's the last thing I'm hearing. And then you see that burrito as you're bleeding out, you just look at it, and just that burrito.
Yeah. And
It's a tough gig.
A hand just comes in a frame and
Just
gets
grabs
it.
it. Yeah. It's a tough gig.
People don't want to talk about the real turf war that's going on, Tim.
Yeah.
And that is between DoorDashers and the homeless.
Yes.
Bro.
Well, because if you're homeless, if I see a DoorDasher, I'm seeing an opportunity.
Yeah,
That's all it is. That's all it is. By the way, DoorDashers now are they don't let it be known they're a DoorDasher.
No.
They are stealth.
Yeah.
Like food delivery people are stealth.
They'll dress up like postal workers.
Yeah.
Vampires. I've seen a vampire.
Yeah. You don't even know who they are. They're in a costume. They're in a truck.
I see somebody just wandering like
Sometimes
this.
they have their friend with them as a lookout. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
There's literally be a guy in the front seat of the car, and then his chick will be just kind of looking out, just making sure like nobody comes and kills him.
How crazy that DoorDashers.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, and they are also carrying
But
messages.
here's the thing. I don't feel bad for any of them
Yeah.
because I don't know anyone who does it, and I do believe anybody who's doing DoorDash is like, you know, in India, they have a caste of people called the untouchables.
Do they really?
Yes, you just can't fuck with them. You
Wow.
can't go near them. You see them and you look away. That is kind of, and this, don't take offense to this, but it is when I encounter a food delivery person in the wild, I look away.
No.
I will look away.
Tim, you don't feel like you're one of them?
A food delivery person? No.
Yeah.
There's so many other jobs. I just feel like if you're delivering DoorDash, I just inherently, here's the thing. I love them as a person. They're a child of God.
Yeah.
But they're in so much pain.
Are they?
A lot of times you can see they're in pain. I can't see it.
Really? They're just listening to Scott Stapp usually. I don't
Yeah,
feel
no,
like
I think some of them are in pain. It's tough. It's hard for me to see and look
Yeah.
at. It's just hard for me to look at.
Well, the saddest part is we make them drive too. It's like
Well, yeah.
they're a victim to gas prices. At least in other countries, like DoorDashers will be on motorcycles, or they'll just be throwing the food to someone who's
New York
further down the
City
street.
They're actually cool
Yeah.
because many of them are Asian
Mm-hmm.
and they're on a tiny little bike
and it's fun.
Yeah.
And they're having a great time, and they're actually seeing how fast they like.
Yeah.
Seeing how fast they can get it to you.
Oh, there's a dark web of that they are all on where they get points in their little.
Oh,
yeah.
and they like seeing how, and many of them are risking their life with ramen on their back to get it to you. They're risking their life so that an NYU student can eat that ramen piping hot. You're getting it so hot. But in LA, maybe I should qualify my statement.
Yeah.
It's only DoorDashers in LA.
Of course.
Because they're all people that want to be like actors or screenwriters. They're lazy. The food's cold. You barely get it.
Yeah.
That's my issue here. It's not, I don't want to malign all the food delivery people. In Los Angeles, I've noticed a problem. Sometimes they'll just steal the food.
Yeah, now
They
that's
just
another
take
thing.
The food.
Yeah, some of them are just looking to get a meal because you can apply online.
Yeah.
You can be working for DoorDash in 6 minutes or less. That's one of their big things. Like,
Yeah.
in 6 minutes.
That's not a good idea.
Yeah, it's a horrible
It's
idea.
a horrible idea.
Become
that
a
someone-
DoorDash delivery guy.
Yeah. In 6 minutes.
Yeah, you can be a DoorDash delivery guy in 6 minutes, or in a very small amount of time. I'm not sure what it is, and they call you an independent contractor. But yeah, next thing you know, you can have a food in 40 minutes. You can be picking up food from somewhere that you can just eat.
Yeah. I mean, I've had some issues with them.
Have
but-
you?
Well, DoorDash now, I think is pretty good. It's the one that I use.
What? I thought you just said all this shit.
Well, no, they are. They're bad, but they're all bad. Like Postmates they're all different kinds of bad.
Yeah.
Postmates is bad. Uber Eats, I just feel like it's a monopoly. I don't want to be involved.
Uber Eats is
I
disgusting.
don't want to be involved with people that are double dipping.
Yep, I agree. It's sick.
You know, it's sick. But to me, it's like DoorDash, even though it's evil, it's the lesser of all the evils.
Yeah.
Or you could leave your house, but that's terrifying. To go and like the process of getting
Oh, to go into the
something.
world? Yeah.
It's crazy.
And to go eat, like David Spade still eats at McDonald's. You know,
Yeah.
he's basically,
Yeah.
he's like the Ulysses S. Grant of our
Right.
time. I feel like he goes,
Yes.
he's on the front
He is.
lines.
He is the Ulysses S. Grant.
He will
of
go
our time.
sit in there
Yeah.
and
No,
dine.
it's
He'll battle.
crazy.
He has an amazing story about battling a homeless guy for a series of nuggets that he had ordered.
Well, that's probably what keeps a guy like that who's so successful and so beloved. It's what keeps him grounded.
Yeah.
Like once a week, he goes,
I'll
I've
go
had
in.
this legendary career, but he's like, once a week, let me go in and get him a griddle and see if I can make it out. You know? And if he can make it out with the McGriddle, he's like, all right. It's just, we all need a little friction in our life.
He's like, this is for you, Farley.
Yeah, this is for you. And he goes in, you know? It's just, he's like Adam Sandler's on a spaceship somewhere, you know, like writing movies from a space station. And David Spade's like, let me just go into the La Cienega McDonald's and just see if I can get out today with a McFlurry. Get into my car. Yeah. Like there was a guy last night, and I was driving on Santa Monica in West Hollywood, and he was just darting, because they dart across like the street.
Well, it's risky for them.
And they just dart across the street, and he had a skateboard with no wheels. He just had the board.
Oh, yeah.
And I didn't understand what that was. And he had it, and then he just, in the middle of my car, just stopped and looked at me, like hit me.
Wow.
And I was just like, I'm not trying to hit, you know?
There's people looking for accidents.
It's people that were just like, kind of like, I don't know what it was. He was like a deer in headlights. I was like, God, and I just swerve around him. But it's like people just mentally aren't together, and they need help. Someone needs to help them.
Their people are missing their wheels.
They don't have their wheels, and someone needs to like step in there and help and like go like, hey man, what's going on?
But the only people that they're encountering for any sort of guidance are DoorDash people.
It's DoorDash, but DoorDash. But here's the thing: DoorDash people. And by the way, earlier on, I said you weren't human beings. Bygones. Let's forget that.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Because here's what I meant by that: we need you now more than ever.
Amen.
Because what you need to do is rise up.
You were the therapist.
You were the therapist
of our
of the
nation.
homeless people.
Yeah.
If there's somebody that is homeless and is having a problem on the corner, you need to put the ramen down. Put the ramen down and go address the problem. What's going on, sir? I am a DoorDash professional.
Yes, I'm a licensed
I'm a
DoorDash
licensed
professional,
food
clinical.
delivery service professional. Can I assist? Now, this person's going to be yelling and pointing at something that isn't there.
Invisible, yeah.
They're going to be pointing at something that in this dimension you cannot see. So you're just going to have to
Bear with them.
Bear with them. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
First question, you go, are you on any medications right now? Have you taken any drugs?
Yeah, and
You got
then
to ask that in a very non-threatening way.
100%.
Yeah.
And then you're going to need to, you will be equipped with markers and paper. You're
Yeah.
going to need to get these people to draw a picture
Of what's happening.
Of what's happening.
Yeah.
And then a separate
Yeah.
picture to calm them down
Yeah.
of their ancestors.
No, for sure. These social workers aren't equipped.
They're not equipped anymore.
They don't
and they
have
don't
it.
want to do it. And they've
can't
also
do it.
given up. A lot of them are just creating profiles, social profiles. A lot of
Right.
social workers are also doing OnlyFans, so they get clients confused. You'll have
Yes.
a therapist
Yeah.
log onto a Zoom and just start
Right.
showing their butthole.
Yeah. And it's
You're like, what?
because the
is
last thing a
this?
homeless person wants to find out is like, can you imagine that you're homeless, you got the big cape.
Yeah.
And there's this guy in Tribeca where I spent some time, sometimes has a big cape.
Oh, I'm
and-
sure the government bought it for him.
Yeah, he has like that big furry cape.
Oh, yeah.
And he's
they
like
kind of
kinda-
bedazzle him, kind of like
Yeah,
they do those
yeah.
Fabergé eggs.
He's kind of like a Game of Thrones guy, and he's in the winter. He's kind of, it's not a bad look. It's kind of like statue. But then, like, he's always kind of rapping to himself. He's always got his headphones. He's kind of doing that back and forth. Yeah, exactly. And then his social worker comes over. He's like, hey, what's going on? And then if he's like, bitch, aren't you? And he points to her photo on OnlyFans. Immediately, she has no credibility.
Yeah, aren't you chatty pussy 30?
Yeah, right. You have no credibility. I'm watching you right now.
Yeah.
I'm watching you right now finger yourself.
So you-
and then you come to me and you ask me what's wrong. I could ask you the same question. What is wrong?
So that's where it's going to be. It's going to be homeless, OnlyFans,
Yes.
social workers chatting with DoorDash
Professionals.
DoorDash clinical DoorDash
Professionals.
psychiatric professionals.
And then we need highly trained SPGs.
Yep, highly
Silverback
trained.
gorillas, so that they know when it is and isn't appropriate to step in and calm a homeless person down by sitting on them outside of a Five Guys.
That's it, dude. And that is our
That's not a bad idea.
that's our campaign, brother.
Not a horrible idea. Here's the thing, and I know this is going to sound horrible because I think even if Jesus were to come back, he would even say, enough with the refugees. Like, I think, we got to not fuck up the whole world and then take them all in. Like this writer, Steve Saylor, said, he had a great quote, invade the world, invite the world. Can't do it. We can't go around fucking everything up, and then all these people show up, and we go, well, we owe them. I go, I don't owe them. I didn't do it. I didn't bomb them. Well, your tax dollar. It's like, we have to stop letting people destabilize all these countries and then let them in. We have floods of refugees in
Why
Europe.
do you think the refugees are coming in from the southern border like they are? Why do you think they're allowing that to happen?
It's economic migration, and the reason is that a lot of these business owners and rich people benefit from cheap labor. They want gardeners, they want nannies, they want chefs, they want people doing their nails. They want, if you
Do you think
own
they've thought of that and
Of
said,
course.
let's let them in so they can do our nails?
Of course, they don't want to pay American wages. If you can hire someone at $3 an hour or whatever it is, off the books, illegal labor. You know how many construction projects go up with illegal labor? You know how many of these construction projects in Miami? They're building like 20 new towers in Miami with floating bathtubs for Bitcoin criminals. And God only knows the Paul brothers, and God bless everybody. I like them. But like they're building all these big towers in Miami. How's that? I'm not doing it. It's illegal labor.
Is it really?
Oh, yeah. Now, DeSantis shut that down, and all the construction projects are grinding to a halt because there's a lot of illegal labor being used in putting up certain buildings.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Wow.
This is a huge part. This is what, or we're to believe that the people living in Greenwich, Connecticut love El Salvadorians. It's one of the two. It's one of the two. It's either that they're benefiting financially from it, or there's a housewife in Greenwich going, I'd love an arepa.
New Florida immigration rules start to strain some businesses. Some employers say they were losing workers because of the new law, which is championed by
And look
Governor Ron
look at this photo.
DeSantis. A dude roofing a house,
Yep. This is.
building a house.
We have this massive housing boom that was enabled not only by the low interest rates, but by you have to have people to build these houses. What do you think D.H. Horton, all these companies like They don't admit to it.
So how do you mitigate that? So you think that's literally why they're letting everyone in? You don't think it has anything to do with voting?
Yes, it has a lot to do with voting. It has to do with
allow people to register.
certain
to vote.
demographics are better for the Democrat Party, and we know that. However, Republicans, up until recently, didn't care that much because they thought they could turn Latinos Republican, and some of them will. Some Latinos are Catholics, and they go, we don't want to do gender monopoly and gender musical chairs or whatever games they're playing over there. We're going to stick with, and a lot of Latinos don't vote. So you have a large percentage of people that don't subscribe. They go, the political system's bullshit. Who cares?
Well, also you have the Biden administration sending people back.
That's right.
From Venezuela.
Yeah.
The Venezuela people who
Right.
escaped a communist government.
Yeah.
They would vote Republican.
Yeah,
like,
they
get
go,
out of
you
here.
gotta go. So they don't want to let more Cubans in from Miami. They don't want to let more
No.
Cubans in. No.
No.
But I think the economic interests of these people are we can bring in people that will do the work for nothing.
Yeah.
The Tyson chicken raid, this was the big thing. The immigration, the raid that whatever ICE or whoever did on the Tyson chicken factory. This is a big story during Trump's term. They raided that. African-American unemployment dried up in the months after that because the Tyson chicken factory had to hire Americans. So when these companies are forced to hire Americans and pay American wages, they do.
Right.
But until they're forced to do that, they're going to rely on largely illegal, unregulated labor. And that's in their personal lives and private lives. So if you can hire a landscaping company to come to your Hamptons house or your house in Bel Air or Greenwich or here, wherever. It's beautiful places
But it
here
seems
too.
like such an
Spanish
insane
Oaks, whatever.
strategy to just keep the border open. It seems like such a fucking dangerous move. Chicken plants lured them, feds jailed them. How Mississippi's immigration crisis unfolded. Oh, the chicken factories. Undocumented workers were once considered an acceptable part of our economy. Now they are demonized. Interesting.
And again, I'm not saying like this is a great thing to do these raids, and obviously there's human costs. But what tends to happen when you lose illegal labor, you have to hire Americans. And they don't want to do that. Why is the Chamber of Commerce pro-immigration? Why are the Koch brothers open borders advocates? Is it because David Koch loves people from Central America? Or is it because he wants to drive down the cost of wages? He believes in a market rate. And a market rate is, hey, anyone will do it. This is the problem with kind of that libertarian type of philosophy. It just doesn't work if you import the third world to America.
Right.
That doesn't really work because then you're setting wages. People on Park Avenue in Manhattan go, yeah. What does that guy want? $4? Let's find someone to do it for $2.50.
So is this idea to try to compete with other countries that do this, like China?
That is one of the ideas. The other idea is to get a 9th sailboat.
Yeah.
It's people that go, where are our profits? How can we maximize these profits?
What's the bottleneck?
How can we maximize? How can we
have a
put up
cheap labor bottleneck?
How can we put up 100 houses for just the material cost and a minute labor cost?
And what do you think about? There's a real. I think there's a bill that just got brought up where they're trying to stop these companies from buying up houses.
Yeah, BlackRock and all those guys.
And they're trying to stop them from doing that because they think that they're controlling the housing market.
Yeah, it's pricing single-family homes. These are the big problem. The big problem is single-family homes.
So here it is. Hedge funds have invaded the housing market. A new bill would ban them. A sweeping new bill introduced in Congress would essentially ban hedge funds and private equity firms from buying single-family homes.
There you go.
This is interesting.
Yeah, this prices out a lot of people.
Do you think they're going to vote on this? This seems like one that's going to be very interesting to see how they vote.
What's going to be interesting?
Bill, which was introduced both the U.S. Senate and the U.S. House of Representatives on Thursday, would, over a 10-year period, require hedge funds and large institutional investors to completely divest from single-family home ownership. Called the End Hedge Fund Control of American Homes Act, the bill would require large funds to sell off 10% of their homes each year over a decade.
Well, basically, what they want to do is create a nation of renters.
How do you feel about this, though? How do you feel about a ban?
Well, there's a lot of people that own those houses that are not going to be happy with a ban because they want BlackRock coming in and giving them more money than the house is worth.
How much more do they give them?
They can give them, 30% above.
Really?
Which is money.
And then they just
it's
lease those
BlackRock.
homes out.
And they lease them out. It's part of this idea that home ownership and automobile ownership and all of these things, eventually are going to be replaced by more effect. Whitney Webb is somebody I've had on my show, and she's
wild.
She's wild, and she knows her stuff. Patrick Bet-David had her on, and when she came on my show, she made a lot of great points about these legacy systems that people want to get rid of. And they go, rent a house, use Uber, Lyft, whatever. You don't need to own. What does owning do for you? That's that famous article, you'll own nothing and be happy.
Right.
So I think the ban would sort of put the brakes on that, I guess. The problem is a lot of these companies find ways around these bans. You got to remember, these are the smartest people in America that become, and I don't mean smart like contemplative intellectuals. I mean shrewd, effective sociopaths. They're really adept. When I say smart, I don't want people going, you think that. I don't mean that. I mean, they're very effective at gaming the system. They're 10 steps ahead of all these laws that are being passed. I'm not saying it's a bad thing to pass the laws, but like a lot of these people are already anticipating that and then how to get around it.
I'm fascinated to see how that bill does.
Yeah.
Because it seems like they would put extraordinary pressure to make sure that bill does not get passed.
They're not going to allow that bill to get passed.
It seems like you're going to find out who's on board.
Well, again,
and who's not on
when
board.
RFK came on my show and called out BlackRock, Vanguard, I know he did it on your show too,
Yeah.
BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street as these companies that own everything.
Mm-hmm.
I got a lot of messages from a lot of financial people going, well, everybody's portfolio is tied up in that. This is part of the whole issue with everything.
Right.
It's the Thomas Sowell thing. There's no solutions. There's only trade-offs. It's hard to get honest at this deep in the scam that is our financial system. It's like hard. Any deleveraging, any winding down of the military-industrial complex, all of this will have ramifications in our society, financially for people across the board. Anything you want to, I'm not saying you shouldn't attempt to do it, but like anything like this, like you go, I don't like illegal immigration. It's like, okay, your house is more money now. You go, oh. They go, okay. I don't want Chinese people buying real estate. Okay, well, maybe, and maybe the, real estate industry is going to take a hit. Not only realtors, but people that work in that business, right? Property managers, interior designers, architects, people that stage homes, appraiser, whatever it is, people might take a hit. This is part of the issue of where we're at now. You ban BlackRock and all those things from getting in there. That's fine. And then, people will take a hit financially with their portfolios.
But do you think that how many people have to vote yes on this? Like, how many people are involved in this decision?
Well, it would have to pass 2 houses of Congress and then get signed into law by the president. Now, that seems very unlikely.
It's wild.
Seems very unlikely because BlackRock will have a great argument as to why they're helping people. They'll get out there and they'll be like, hey, man, we're here and we're buying these fucking houses and the people that we're buying them from love us. The boomers love BlackRock. The boomers will get on a BlackRock cruise with BlackRock shirts. The boomers, because one of the problems in the American real estate market is boomers will not sell their houses for anything under a $1.6 million profit. They just won't. They won't because they like to lord them. They like to lord around them. They like to make their kids feel guilty. They like to go, you could never afford it. They like to tell you how cheap the house was when they bought it. And then this is every Thanksgiving or Christmas, somebody will go, pick this up for $200,000. Now it's worth 1.8. Yeah. And then it's their millennial kids are sitting there saddled with student loan debt. And the boomers are, it's their last fuck you before they leave the planet.
Yeah.
They're a spiteful generation of monsters. I respect it. But their last fuck you before they leave the planet is instead of selling their houses for, I don't know, a $900,000 profit, they just won't put them on the market. Some boomers, which is hilarious, that we read the articles on my show, they're actually retiring to bigger houses. They're sizing up. It's sick. It's like insane. And so that becomes an issue too of like, you know, it used to be like you would have a house, the kids would move, you'd stay in it probably for another 10 or 20 years, and then you'd get a condo. And you'd go, I'm out. The fuck do I want to mow lawn for? Yeah. Now the boomers are going, this is the only thing we have that makes us truly valuable in society, is that we own this like a McMansion. And we're not giving this up. We are tax-paying citizens, and we are not giving this up. And our kids are going to come here every year, and they're going to suffer through the size of our house with 9 empty bedrooms while they live in a 2-bedroom apartment, and we're gonna chastise them for their decisions and their choices.
And the McMansion defines you, and your car that you drive up to the
That's
McMansion
right.
in, all that defines you.
And
Where are you vacationing?
That's right.
Where are you going?
That's right. And they're gonna go, because they all bought those houses for very little money, and they are going to hold them over everybody's houses until they are found dead in them. They will not leave those houses until they're taken out in an ambulance. The most important thing for the boomer is to be right. And that's their main thing. They're not a soulful group. They've been around forever, but they've attained very little wisdom. It's actually kind of impressive. They're the most American generation of people that have ever lived. They're deeply selfish, self-aggrandizing, paranoid, delusional. But one of the things that makes them right is what they have. They go, well, how can I be wrong? Look at this fucking house. Look where we're sitting. I've got 13-foot ceilings. Don't tell me you know about Gaza. You don't.
Tucker Carlson, New York Times released his address.
Did they?
Or see, I
claimed that they were gonna.
I literally only saw it from yours.
They do shit like that. They did it with like, I just get, listen, man, I don't watch Tucker. I don't care. Sometimes he says something, I'm like, that makes sense. Sometimes he says something, I'm like, that's wrong. I love all these people that are so committed to like hating a guy or loving a guy. I'm like, who? Wait, I just watch the guy every now and then. I go, yeah, I don't think so.
How did we get there, though? How did we get where people? Because I notice sometimes I'll notice I'll fall into it if I really let myself.
Yeah.
But then I notice I'm not an activist.
Right.
Like
people crave. There's a few things about people. They crave drama. They crave fights. It's back to the days of the Roman Coliseum.
Oh, yeah.
They like to see combat. Now there is no real combat right now. So a lot of people are sitting on a couch and they're on a computer. So the combat is all internet, it's all digital. They love that. I also think that people are they want to be slaves. People want to generally be in a group and to have allies and then to have another group that they hate.
Yeah.
It's just what it is. And it's like, I don't know what that is. Somebody might be able to explain that. Behavioral psychologist or somebody. I don't know. People just like having friends that they connect with, and they get these friends by having the same enemies and the same allies. So you can't look at a guy like Tucker Carlson and go, he's a human being, and then he might be wrong about things. You look at him as an enemy of you. He's a direct enemy of you because he espouses a different political ideology, because you think that he's making life unsafe for people because of what he believes.
Yeah.
And some of that might have some relevance, like I get it. If you're an undocumented immigrant, obviously your opinion of Trump is probably very different than a guy like me who has the luxury of being like, hey, I'm not getting deported, right?
Right.
That doesn't mean every political argument you're ever going to have, there's real life consequences and real people that are going to be affected. That doesn't mean you can't have a political argument about immigration.
Right.
Doesn't mean you can't talk about abortion.
Yeah, some people think that once they're in one lane that they have to stay in that lane for everything.
Yeah, or they think that if they can, school shootings are horrible. I don't want them to happen. I'm for all kinds of gun regulations. But just because real people are affected by something, I mean, the reason we're talking about it is because people are affected.
Right.
The reason it's an issue in general is because people are affected. And if you shut down dialogue, then what are people supposed to do? So these emotional appeals that a lot of people have on the left and the right, where they're just like, but what about the kids? What about that? It's like, yeah, but how did we get here? How did we get to the kids in the cages? It's not having an immigration policy. It's not having any agreed upon policy. That's how we got here. So we need to figure out a way to have a policy that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, and there has to be, it's also like we always want everyone else to do everything. It's like the government, all of it is just society. It's just the best we can do right now.
Right.
It's like some people act like everything should be different. Everything should be different. If it was supposed to be different right now, it would be different. This is the best we can do to have one of the best societies in the world.
I wonder if sometimes my boomer parents would make fun of all the time, but like sometimes my dad was right when he was just like every time somebody bring up politics, my father would just be like, I can't get involved.
Yeah. It's really is the best thing.
He goes, I just can't get involved. Like he just like there's a certain level of like, if you're gonna get in it, run for something.
Yeah.
Really get in there. But we can't have a society where every fucking human being is a cable news anchor.
Yeah.
We can't. I can't be in line at Starbucks and people are, in a heated political debate at 8 o'clock in the morning. We can't do it. Well, it's unhealthy. There's more to life. That's the other thing about politics, dude. There's more to life. Go camping. Go fall in love. Go do something.
Go read a book. Go love someone.
Yeah.
It really talking about it gets so, it's such an addictive thing. And it's funny, like the biggest addiction in the world right now really is people consuming things that they like the news, really, media that they know is bad for them.
They know is bad.
But they wake up and they go to it again and
They're
again.
like, let's just do it.
Yeah.
Let's just do it anyway. And they know it's bad.
And it's that is an addiction because they do it to feed something inside of themselves.
Yeah.
They do it because it's easier for you to sit there and be angry. Any of us, and I don't mean someone, but all of us, it's easier for us to sit there and be angry than it is to take action and make our lives better.
100%. 100%. I think this is an escape, and I think people escape into this world instead of fixing the world that is very close to them.
Yeah.
Because, by the way, Biden, it's gotten to a point where it's almost a little fun now for the people around him because it is like a weekend at Bernie's.
Yeah.
It is kind of fun because he's like essentially just almost at the death's door.
Mm-hmm.
And they're all now like, we're all in this together.
Oh, he's like Death Dash.
It's Death Dash.
Yeah.
They're in it together now. So it's kind of like, we can't get out. It's kind of fun, like late nights, just propping him up, like playing with him like a puppet and going like, we're just going to put him out on the debate stage, like giving him good drugs, injecting him. Like the injections that Biden gets before the first debate, it will be nothing you've ever heard. Like teams of people. You ever see the scene in E.T. where they put a tent around and they won't let anyone near it? Before Biden walks on that debate stage, there's going to be an E.T. like tent and just people in hazmat suits are going to go in and just start injecting him with things. And then he's just going to walk out like a regular person. And then you're going to go, oh, there's shit we have no idea about.
He's going to have a dip in his cheek of children's hair.
Yeah, he's going to just start boxing. Like, he's going to come out. They're going to be like... He'll start like throwing hands. He'll be like, there are drugs we've never heard. Like, there's technology we've never heard of. There are drugs we've never heard of.
Oh, they're going to be pumping. They're going to be playing T.I. They're going to be doing anything. They're going to be like, they'll be have a Ouija board channeling corn pop from the fucking swimming pool.
They're going to be, can you imagine like doing debate prep with him? How nervous they're going to be? They're going to be sitting there and they're going to be like, okay. And then they're going to call like the people in like the deep state and stuff. They're going to go, we gotta really up the dose here. We're not, I mean, like he's not responding to the regular stimuli. We need to really get in here with some like really intense because he just left the room. We just asked him a question. He just walked out of the room. He doesn't know where he is. So like we gotta like play around with a cocktail of things to just get him to a point where he stands at the podium.
Put him on the AIDS meds. They're gonna have him on everything you can be on. Dude, he is the crazy thing is, imagine the scripts they'll be practicing with him the week before.
Oh my God.
Probably it'll just be monologues from famous movies.
Oh my God. It's going to be things Tony Soprano said. They're like, if you forget, just give this speech that Tony Soprano gave to Anthony about World War II. Just if that's the closest you can get to this question,
Read this scene from The Sopranos where Tony talked about the importance of Italian Americans during World War II.
It's gonna be, dude. He's gonna be reading monologues
Yeah.
from the movie Hoosiers whenever Gene Hackman tried to get Jimmy Chitwood to run the picket fence. It's gonna be
Yeah.
unbelievable.
Unbelievable. By the way, that first debate, I will be watching just like there's nothing more entertaining than that. It's the Super Bowl for someone like me to just watch that go down.
It's old versus orange, baby.
It's old versus orange, and it's just they're both wild. Like Trump's gonna be just popping off because now Trump's also 4 years older. He doesn't even care anymore.
And who's more likely to even say the N word now? It's different
It's both
reasons.
of them.
I know, because
Both of them.
one could just bubble out of
Yeah,
fucking Biden,
right.
or Trump could just fire one off that he
what if
earned
both
back in the day.
presidential candidates said the N word
yeah.
in a debate.
Well, if they did it at the same time, I think it's what we all want to hear.
Yeah,
But if
yeah,
they don't,
it's a good point. Like if they just both said it at the exact same time, then it would just be a reset. Then the country, like at that point, if Trump and Biden say the N word at the same time in that debate, the Israelis and the Palestinians are just going to look at each other and start embracing.
Yeah.
They'll hug because that's what we need. Really.
Oh, it's exactly what we need, man. If Bobby Kennedy Jr. was out there and got to debate either one of them, I think he would crush him.
Bobby Kennedy Jr., I think, would absolutely wreak havoc in a debate. He should be out there.
Why can't he debate? He's an independent candidate, right?
These big parties try to keep everybody out because people try to get in there. Like, you know what I mean? Like, people try to get in there. Like people will just, like, I think Ben Glebe was trying to, like, run for president.
true.
Right? Like, so they just try to keep people out because it could get real wild.
Yeah.
You know, like the third party candidates kind of get wild.
Oh, definitely.
You
That's
know,
true.
like you'd have a bunch of, you'd have like one of the Real Housewives.
You have an OnlyFans
Jump
model.
on there. Some OnlyFans model would get out
Teresa
there.
Guidisi.
Yeah, for the Real Housewives, she'd get out there. You know, and so like you just
Charleston White probably would be out there, hopefully.
You're right. Get this bitch out there.
Jeepers, huh? Wow, it looks like the fuck. It literally reminds me of like the Muppets went to fucking makeup.
But that's the problem. Like, so that, like, here's the thing. Like, as much as I don't think it's fair that they're keeping Bobby Kennedy out, they do need to keep certain people out.
Right.
Because it would just be a waste of time.
Yeah, Glebe ran in 2020.
How did he do?
I don't know. Yeah,
Yeah.
how did he do? Did we do? It was there.
I don't know.
It's such a brave thing to do.
Is it?
That's a good question. What does brave mean?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's brave if you get to a certain level.
Right.
But if most people don't know you did it,
Right.
it's not that brave.
Well, Trump could go get arrested. I
could-
don't think it'll happen. I think
No,
a lot
all
of
the
those
charges are really
bullshit.
trumped up. They're all bullshit. They're
agree.
all like he inflated the price of a toilet he bought in Morocco. It's
Right.
the most ridiculous.
But some of
charges.
those, he also does have a.
They're like, he said it was marble. It's actually granite. It's like, guys, remember you told us that he was like the Russian president?
czar. Remember
and
all
they
that?
couldn't prove any of that. And now they're like, he said it was quartzite. It's just quartz. That's a man-made stone. You're like, guys, you went left on this.
Yeah.
This didn't work out.
Well,
for
I wish
anybody.
you would have started that. I
Yeah.
would believe that he fucking
Yeah.
that he shicks at a couple of
Right.
construction company
100%.
countertops.
100%.
100%.
Yeah, but he could have some complications with that.
But then Biden could pass away.
Biden has passed away. Biden, we know what they're going to try to do to him. They're
Oh, they're gonna have him Geppettoed up.
gonna-
They're gonna have a fucking.
Pfizer is going to get involved. They're going to get involved. And so you have this interesting scenario where you have one candidate who's maybe in jail and the other candidate is on like an experimental new cocktail of drugs. No
We
one's
don't know
ever
the
seen.
side effects.
We have no idea what's about
I mean,
to
they could
happen.
be roller skating,
It's crazy.
racism,
He could levitate.
chewing on your
we
tongue.
don't know what's going to happen.
We don't know what.
And they're going to, scientists, by the way, make no mistake, scientists at Pfizer right now are sitting down with members of the Biden campaign and going, here's the bad news. We don't know what happens after. We know it gives him energy. We know it makes him clear-headed. We know it gives him the ability to speak.
What can his valves handle? is they're
Yeah,
asking.
but we
what
don't-
PSI?
Yeah.
What PSI can his aortas handle right now?
We don't know what else happened. So, we don't have an option. We're just shooting him up with this and putting him on stage.
Do they have to debate each other? Does that have to happen?
I imagine that it will. And when it terms of how you got somebody smarter than me would know.
Mm-hmm.
It's happened every single election.
It'd be weird if it didn't happen.
It'd be very weird. Wow. It would be very weird.
But
anyone could throw their hat in at the last minute.
Oh, yeah, like Bloomberg tried to do. Remember that?
Lil Mabu. Anyone could come in and just, it's yours now.
Yeah.
I mean, somebody could try. Bloomberg got shellacked.
Yeah.
Gavin
remember
Newsom
that.
might try, even though he's hated. He's like on a vineyard. He's on a vineyard somewhere, just wine drunk, telling people he's the president.
Just watching home cameras, making sure there's no squatters heading in.
Michelle Obama could get involved.
I don't think she would win, though.
She, I think, had some heat, but it's kind of like died down.
Well, if Trump went to jail or something happened, to him,
Yeah.
they made it so he couldn't run. And if Biden is too old to run, Kennedy, if he could get in, could actually fucking win. That's the weirdest part.
Dude, 1,000%. A few times, like upstate New York, I don't have a gun. I should get a gun. I didn't think I'd need a gun when I moved to LA. I didn't think I'd have to sit on my balcony with a gun. It seemed relatively safe when I moved in. People were annoying, but I didn't think they were coming to kill me. I didn't think they were coming in my windows to kill me. But now that I'm like, yeah, I should get a gun. Yeah. I think I texted you second week of quarantine. I'm like, should I get a gun? You're like, yeah.
You're one of them.
Yeah.
You're one of my liberal friends.
I'm not a liberal friend, but
What
I
are
was
you?
like,
Are you a centrist?
I believe in pedophile cults and lizard people. I think that's centrist. I think that's in the center.
I'm on the fence with lizard people, but the pedophile cults are real.
They're all real. I just don't care. I don't care. That's really my political option. It's like, I think it's not, most of it isn't real. You're making a lot of it real. It's not real. Walk away. Like it truly, like it, people that are real activists, a lot of them have like a degree, like they're a lawyer or a doctor, and then they use their skills to actually help people.
Right.
And they give up really profitable careers to do that shit.
Right.
But dude, your Twitter fucking posturing and your virtue signaling doesn't do anything. It's fake. I know it's fake. And there's just more to life than red and blue and Republican or Democrat. And all these motherfuckers are trying to kill you, and they're all fucking losers. And they're all just, listen, they're more capable. Like all the shit that they've pulled, the CIA, all these people, they're just too good. They're good. They've beat me. They're going to win. They're going to win. The CIA is going to beat you.
Maybe you should join.
I don't know who needs to hear. I'd love to, but I don't know who needs to hear this. But like, stop investing your all your emotions and your time and energy into this thing. Like, you would be so much better off if you just found something you enjoyed and did it.
Right, but you don't want them taking away your rights and closing in on your email account.
They're going to do it. They're going to do it anyway.
Are they? You sure?
What are you going to do? Don't take
Happy
my
your
rights.
voice.
Send. Fucking matter. They're going to take them. Buy the gun. Do whatever you got to do. Like, there's no winning here.
Do you believe in a well-armed militia? You think that's necessary?
Yeah, but look, you could, I'm all for people having guns.
But a militia, like it seems like more now than ever, the idea of forming a militia is in people's
It's going to
minds.
happen. It'll happen. There'll be skirmishes. There'll be violence in the street. But it's like at
That's
the
what
end.
I was most worried about with Portland and Seattle.
Yeah, at the end of the day, I don't know. This country is not designed for massive reimagining. That's sad to say. I can say it. I'm a comedian. It is what it is. But the reality is, it's just not. It's going to disintegrate like everything else that's ever fucking existed on the planet. And you just hope that the plane lands slowly and doesn't nosedive into the ground. But the best days are over here. The bright, like the hopeful, we're going to the moon. That's done.
Really?
You don't think so?
I think we could be in a little bit of a blip and we make a nice resurgence, and in a year and a half from now, everything's looking good.
I don't know. I think we just head into a dystopian, insane kind of like tech world where we just all live on like reality barely exists. No, I
That's a
think
real problem.
It's a dystopian world we're heading into.
Well, the real problem is if everything goes into like a Ready Player One type situation where whatever they can manufacture in a computer with artificial reality is more interesting.
That's going to happen. And listen, here's the problem. Most people don't care. They don't want these rights. They actually don't. You like them because you're like a successful person. Most people don't give a shit about their rights. They want pizza. They want chicken wings. They want fucking soda. They want cheap credit. They want to go on a
Netflix.
cruise once a year. They don't give a shit about their rights.
Cruise.
They don't care. They want Netflix and they want, garlic knots, and that's and that's what it is. And you could pretend like America's just not a country of like freedom loving. There's a few of those people. Most people are just like, hey, whatever, and they're the happiest people. A lot of those people I'm talking about are actually the happier people. They're not trying to build an empire. They're not trying to succeed. They just enjoy like putting something warm and doughy in their mouth, vegging out, and fucking waking up the next day and go, shit, I'm here again. And they're the happiest people.
They like to get drunk and go boating.
That's it. They like to get fucked up and go out on the lake. Go out on the lake and get railed up. And yeah, and it's fun. What are you going to sit around all day, worry about what DARPA's doing? It's like, the fuck kind of life is that? Grill a burger, it's over. I mean, enjoy it.
Yeah,
it's
play
the end,
Freebird.
and the end's not that bad. As ends go, as ends go, this end happens to be hilarious, and there's still food in the food stores.
Yeah, that's a good point.
As of right now.
I like your optimism.
This is a good end.
It's not a bad end.
It's not the worst end.
But virgin power is so strong, bro.
Is
I saw
it?
a
Wild.
virgin. Oh, dude.
That's crazy.
Oh, somebody parked a Volkswagen Rabbit on this guy's leg one time outside of our schoolhouse, and I saw a virgin fucking lift it right off his leg.
Wild.
Yo, what? And this was in fucking, who knows when it was.
Every scene is from like the movie Powder. Every scene, it's amazing.
What are you talking about?
Every
dude?
scene
You
of your
ever heard
life. is
stories
a
like
movie.
that?
I've never seen a virgin pick up a car.
Yeah.
They pick up AK-47s now. That's the problem. Virgins now are picking up AR-15s. Hopefully they start picking up cars again. That would be nice.
They need to start
That'd be
passing
great.
out some pussy then, bro.
I agree with you.
Because they're shutting down all the pussy, bro. That's who's doing it.
That's right. Yes, I will take
Okay.
the controversial stance that I believe Epstein is a pedophile.
Okay.
You heard it here.
Okay.
Oh,
and
boy.
you think Ghislaine was his runner?
Yeah, I think that's pretty well established. I
Okay.
think Miss Maxwell was involved in some lurid and inappropriate activities. But as Trump would say, I wish her well. Yeah. Because that's the way rich people talk. Rich people, every now and then rich people just become rich and they forget that they have a job.
Yeah.
He forgot he was the president.
Yeah.
He was at a golf tee on Mar-a-Lago in his mind, and he said what he would have said to some CEO that was next to him. He go, yeah, I wish her well. Point when you're under the balls and you're sleeping in some hair of
keep your
whatever.
head out.
You keep your head out of the balls. That's a real moment. That's a real moment in your life. Like one of those moments for me, I was Santa Claus in like Harlem, and I was getting shit on all day by like 4-year-old kids. Were just
And you can
shitting
say
on
black
me.
kids.
Yeah, they were. Well, some of them were Dominican, but they were just roasting me, just shamelessly. None of them were happy to see Santa. These are hardened little kids. They're like, "Fuck you, you fat fuck." I'm like, I'm Santa, you know.
Yeah. And
I would jingle the bell, and then every now and then some drunk would like dance with me, and I was like, "This is a rough. I hope comedy works out." You know. So that had to be the ball pit moment when your head's out of the balls. You're like, God, I hope this works out. I did cocaine with a substitute, and that's all. That's as far as I got. We just.
How old were you?
I was maybe 18, maybe like the year I graduated high school. We were doing coke with one of our substitutes.
And was he a homosexual or not?
It was a chick.
It was a woman.
Yeah, she was
Wow.
just.
Subs are the end, dude.
What class?
She was an English sub, so she was an idiot.
Yeah.
So she wasn't smart. She was just probably trying to go out and sniff some coke and, fuck her way into the lower middle class. She was fuck her way into a little Levitt house in Long Island. Good woman.
Oh my God, bro! You got to play Santa more often, dude. I would love to watch the small black kids attack you.
They just roasted me. They were brutal.
Here's a guy, obviously, who's looking to date.
This guy looks like he's in trouble. This guy looks like he didn't answer a contact tracing call. He's infected 38 people.
Hey, Mr. Dillon, huge fan. Mr. Vaughn, long-time listener, watcher, first-time caller and communicator. Pardon my back mullet. I don't have a top mullet, but I got a little back hair
Damn,
mullet.
you got that heat coming
Anyway,
in.
I got a crazy question for Mr. Dillon. What do you think about the assassin killing himself that shot the judge's son? This Ghislaine Maxwell shit's getting a little crazy.
Yeah, it's real
on
creepy.
us.
Yeah.
So let's get into that.
Yeah.
First, let's just establish that you believe Epstein was a pedophile. No, I'm just saying, let's just establish some ground.
Who are you working for? Wait a minute, hold on. What?
Do you ever think that do you ever meet women that are close on there's almost like because sometimes I almost wonder if at a certain point that gay and straight will almost be primitive descriptions of people.
Might be, yeah. Maybe.
Like I know there's a lot of forced stuff and like,
Yeah.
you know, and people like in this place now where they don't know or they,
Right.
you know, and people are just.
I think sex will be primitive. I think people are on so many SSRIs they can't even come, and I mean they can't get dicks hard. I mean, just
It'd be crazy almost.
You look at a lot of these relationships, you're like, there's no sex happening. These people just hold each other's
yeah.
hand. They softly cry. They tweet about racism.
Yeah.
They adopt a dog together. But you realize
There's a
how
lot of it.
sexual a lot of these relationships are. You're like, a lot of this is probably just people that have massive anxiety laying next to each other, having multiple panic attacks, and then someone's strong enough to go make a cup of like non-caffeinated tea.
But if you ever
Yeah.
come during a tough
Yeah.
panic attack, bro, it's almost good.
Is that the move? Yeah. Okay, is that the move? Well, I mean, I tweet out things hoping to, to get something, and no one cares.
You ever-
Everyone's
you
like,
ever-
yeah, that's okay.
You ever rile anyone up?
Sometimes people get
People
mad.
are
but
caring more now, though.
I think people
Your
are caring
career's
more
getting
now.
bigger
Yeah,
now.
it's been better now. Last 6 months.
Yeah.
I had to really turn it up. Say Meghan McCain fucked her dad. I had to take it to the next level.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and then people were like, "Oh, okay, we'll listen to this."
Incest will get people to move.
Yeah, I had to
mostly.
say she had sex with her father's corpse, and then people were like, "Oh,
Jesus.
okay."
But here's the thing about incest, dude. Everybody's like, no, right?
Yeah.
But what I'm thinking about is, dude, back in the day, you didn't have the only people that lived around you were kind of family or somebody that was,
Yeah, close.
and you didn't have everyone didn't have a bicycle or like if you had a bicycle, then yeah, maybe you'd fuck somebody that wasn't distantly related to you.
Yeah.
But if you didn't, you could only have sex with as far as you could walk or as far as you could,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know. So people would have sex more locally.
Yeah, you didn't have a choice.
I think that still
Yeah.
goes on. I think that's still probably happening.
Oh yeah, there's some areas and stuff you go and you're like, oh,
It's still
everybody's
probably.
kind of.
I think people are using that exact rationale too when they're in court. They're like, "Listen, I have sex as far as I walk," and then there's a judge going, "Okay, sounds great."
Yeah,
you
but
know?
I hated myself that like looking back now.
looking back now.
yeah, at the
Yeah.
time I was like, this is dope.
yeah,
I'm a YouTube star.
yeah.
And now I'm just like, fuck.
You were just acting out.
I think so. I think
Yeah.
I was just lashing. I was pissed that everyone hated
You were
me.
doing
I was
like the
pissed that
crazy
everyone was
pranks.
pissed at me.
Yeah, you doing the crazy pranks.
Yeah.
Have you ever done one of those where you regretted it, like a crazy prank? Well, obviously the one that we all know about. Yeah,
The one in the forest. Probably.
yeah, right, that
Probably
one. But
regretted
which
that
I didn't
one.
even think was offensive. I was like, whatever.
I didn't either.
I
You
didn't
don't,
think
you
it was
don't, you
a
don't
big deal.
strike me as a person who found it offensive.
No, I mean, me and my friends played with dead people, alive people, people
the
that were
fuck
in the
are you
middle, but we
saying?
just didn't.
What are you
we couldn't
saying?
get,
Why did you-
We just couldn't get any. We couldn't monetize it 'cause we were from the generation that can't monetize the sociopathy. But I wish we. No, but that wasn't fair. But have you ever done something where you're like, oh, I shouldn't have?
Yeah, man.
I poured gasoline on my brother. Or I tried to pour gasoline on my brother. He ran away and I slipped in it and almost broke my shoulder.
Yeah, see that?
Dude, my boy Todd one time at Halloween drank a fucking half-gallon of gasoline, dude, and no joke, we never fucking saw him again.
Yeah. And
Never-
guess what?
never
He's
have seen him.
probably fine.
Oh, I think he's fine, but I think he's
Yeah.
never gonna be fully fine.
Right.
You know? Oh, speaking of Asians, bro, we got a fucking Asian right here.
Oh.
Let's hear this beautiful Viet.
Hey, what's up, guys? So my question is for both you guys. So if you guys had the chance to have an interview or a podcast with anyone, dead or alive, who would that be?
Fuck, man. That question always sucks, I feel like.
Yeah.
No offense, man. Sorry.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have said that.
That's
the
a,
guys
bit,
right
it's a
there.
basic bitch question.
It's just, yeah,
It's
man.
a very basic bitch question. We got a version right here.
Let's hear this young woman.
This
Oh,
is the
man.
farthest thing from a basic bitch question.
What's up, Theo? This question's for all three of you guys. You can't leave the room until you form a human centipede. What's the order gonna be?
Oh, interesting.
God. What are you
So
on?
complex.
What website are you on, Nick?
These are our fans.
Yeah. These are people coming in from 8chan to discuss.
It's 4chan now, dude.
Right. They took 4 away.
We're eating cleanest, so I would probably say you up top.
Yeah.
man.
Tight.
You're up front.
I got to go in the back because I have the least amount of going on in my career.
That's true, the caboose, dude.
Yeah, I have the least amount going on. My manager would be like, "You're lucky to be there. You eat who's ever asked. They tell you to eat. Don't start any problems."
You don't
That's the way he
you're not
talks.
eating the ass, bro. You're just being
What's a
there as
hu-
a receptacle.
What's a human centipede, right?
Yeah, but don't get sexual. We're there to fucking survive,
Okay,
dude.
well, you know what
We're
I
trying
mean.
to get out of the room. It's like an escape room. This guy
Okay.
obviously works at the mall.
The middle.
This guy works at the mall.
Where do you think he even come up with a question
He's
like
just sitting
that?
at the mall all day smelling churros, thinking about what to ask.
The middle person dies quick though, Theo. I think.
But I'll sacrifice myself just to get out of the fucking situation.
Did you
bro.
see that movie? I never saw that movie.
Oh, because they're why? Because they're.
Oh wait, one of them dies quick. Just like like biology.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, you get a
you're too
UTI, I
infected.
think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You get a lot of UTIs.
Right.
By the way, I saw the movie. Did you?
I didn't see the movie.
See it. Is it brutal?
Great flick.
I want to watch. Let's watch. I want to watch it. I might watch it. No, not now, but like tonight or something.
Great flick.
Go to our own respective places.
Back to our neutral corners.
I'm not saying let's just watch a movie for 2 hours right
Back to
now.
our neutral corners.
Yeah.
Wow.
I was thrown off Airbnb. This is a fact. You did not support me on this.
I did.
You did not. You said he should have done the dishes. This was
Yeah,
your
you should have
quote.
done the dishes.
Joe.
But you shouldn't have been thrown off of Airbnb.
Okay. Well,
But you
that's-
shouldn't leave dirty dishes.
Joe, we pay a $450 cleaning fee.
Oh.
Airbnb, $450. They do this scam now. They call it COVID cleaning, which is fake because regular cleaning and COVID cleaning are the same thing. Cleaning is cleaning. You're not going in there with hazmat
Why'd you leave the
suits.
plates?
What do you mean? What?
Why didn't you just clean the plates?
Because this is a vacation.
Are you supposed to clean the plates?
I don't know what the rules are, but I don't like the service if that's the case. I want.
You feel like you should be able to leave.
Not
dirty
if
plates.
I pay $450 for a cleaning fee, you should. And the thing is, there were 2 lesbian women, and I mentioned that, and that's why I was kicked off Airbnb because
you
they thought
mentioned their
because I mentioned they were lesbian, and they had a horribly designed house, and they should have maybe asked a gay guy or someone to fix it, but.
Well, as a gay guy, what have you done? What would you have done rather to fix it?
Well, all the furniture you couldn't sit in. It was like art pieces. All of the furniture was like a
Wait a
little.
minute. You couldn't sit in, or Tony Hinchcliffe couldn't sit in.
Tony Hinchcliffe is a bird. He can perch on things. I'm a human. I'm an American human. We can't sit on a fucking leather cowhide chair. It's an art piece. Like this is.
What's
it was
wrong with the piece?
It was like a chair of like sticks with like leather cowhide with these weird stools.
Did you take pictures of these?
I
things?
took all the photos. I put them on my Instagram. I was like, these
Let's
are
see these things.
These are not for human beings. These are for like lesbians to drink tea and perch and whatever. But like,
Why
I need,
lesbians? Though? Why do you care about their sexual orientation? That's why you get kicked
because
off?
they're insufferable. They were insufferable. They wore little hats and had a dog.
Little hats.
They had little weird hats and they had a dog.
Do you like big hats?
Yeah,
You
but
don't like dogs?
I not they had like a weird Weimaraner. I just knew who they were. I knew who I could see the photo and when I knew who they were. And they probably saw my photo when I hate that fat conservative fuck or whatever, even though I'm really in the middle politically and even weight wise. But in this state, but they got mad at me and they got me off Airbnb because I discussed this on my podcast in a colorful manner. And I quote unquote threatened to burn their house down. As a joke, I'm not burning your house down. It's a bit. I'm not gonna burn your house down. But I said, like, watch your back. Who knows what happens? It's a joke. But these women don't get jokes, and it's not my fault. But like to give me a horrible review.
How did they find out that you talked about them online on your show?
It's a decent sized show. So I
Yeah?
think, yeah, it's big. I mean, okay, you guys win, but it's big enough where if we say something on it, it got back to them. One of their minions told them, and they were, first of all, they asked me to give them a good review, which you're not allowed to do in the Airbnb process. Right before I wrote the review, that I've never given anyone a bad review on Airbnb. I don't do it.
asked
I'm
you
not a
to give them a
rat.
good review.
They texted me and said, hey, our cleaning lady came, had a stroke, LOL, but just give us a good review. And I'm like,
She said LOL?
yeah, I was like, I don't know why she had a stroke because it's literally dishes. Has your cleaning lady not encountered dishes before?
There's no, if like they took black light and scanned the walls, they wouldn't be surprised?
There's nothing. I even left them a tartar sauce and said, use it because we didn't use it.
Kind.
So, yeah, but Dick, I mean, look at that.
I like it.
Oh, God, of course. Of course you do. This is meant
Minimalist.
to.
What's
these
that
people
hole in
want
the
to
wall?
just do ayahuasca.
Is that a fireplace? What is
Yeah,
that
which you
square
can't
hole?
use because they're not insured for it.
What is that square hole?
It was a fireplace that
Why
you
is it
can't
so
use.
high?
It's weird, dude.
It's a fireplace that's like chest level.
It's a cold
Is that-
environment.
Isn't that a weird? I mean, aren't fireplaces supposed to be on the ground floor? Like, why is it? Is
The
that really?
whole house is
that's
crazy.
Really a fireplace?
I mean, they're culturally appropriating Native American. It's just the whole thing
maybe they're
makes
Native
me sick.
American. You don't know.
They are not.
How do you know?
Because I've seen them.
But what about Elizabeth Warren?
That's a good point. But
That fireplace is in a weird place.
It's weird. The whole
It's an
house is
oven.
weird.
It's
the
a
whole
pizza
house
oven.
is weird. And I just left. There was a few dishes in the sink.
Show me that picture again.
And the review of me was like, this guy was a horrible guest. They said I broke a cactus, which is literally impossible.
You can break cactuses.
How? With like crunching the
You
spikes
fall
with my
on them when
hands?
you're on ecstasy.
Yeah, I mean these.
I don't understand what I'm looking at.
Correct.
So there's like a log.
1,000 a
that's
night, 1,200 a night,
I
2,200.
like it.
I got it for
I'd
half.
stay there.
Oh no,
I really would.
it's absolutely repulsive.
I would sit in those chairs and be really comfortable.
Joshua Tree is a litter box for drug addicts.
No, it's for people who like to do mushrooms and find themselves.
Enough. Grow up and get a real drug problem. Take a Percocet at your office, okay? Not everything has to be a journey to hyperspace.
Not everything, but some things.
Sure. I just am a fan of pill
Joshua
heads and
Tree-
coke heads. I like people that are productive.
But you're in Joshua Tree. That's the place where
It's
psychedelic people go.
Oh, and I used to do acid and go to a bar like a
Yeah.
person.
Right. I get
Yeah,
it.
I didn't have to. If I would be a subprime mortgage guy, I would do acid and I would cross over. Like if I did DMT, I would go and when you meet the aliens and they give you all the information about how the world is, I would have tried to sell them condos. You know, I would have brought them into my world.
I like it. Relaxation happens here. I bet it does.
Yeah, washing dishes. That sounds
I don't
relaxing.
like the bars on the chair.
Oh, the thing
square,
it was horrible.
Like sitting on that, the where I wouldn't know where to put my hands. I'd probably put them below those metal bars.
This is really.
Look at that lady. I like how she's sitting. Fuck. Wait, go back to
The
that.
pool was cold.
Can you go back to that picture? That lady's hot. I like that.
This
Ooh.
is they're fat
But look
phobic.
at- she's naked.
and
She's
this
naked.
This is what
Is
they're
she
trying to do
naked?
here. They're
No.
upset
What
that
is
human beings
Is that a bathing
rented their
suit?
apartment.
It's hard to tell because it's in black and white, but she's hot. I like how she's just reading. She's like, even though I'm hot, I just want to educate myself.
Yeah, this
and there's
is
another lady
this is who
who
they.
wants to be
Yeah, that's
hot.
that's a
Look at the
realistic.
guy!
Yeah, that's
Look at
realistic.
the guy. Look at his six pack. He hasn't
Yeah.
eaten in months.
That's realistic.
That guy's shredded, and he's hanging out with a super hot girlfriend.
There's a few
This is
dishes in that
great
sink.
Tim Dillon, I want to buy this house. This is a great place.
You stop.
I like it.
Yeah, that.
Ooh, it's a hi-fi.
Yeah.
That's a hi-fi.
Oh, is it? Yeah.
it's a high fidelity.
This
sound
was not.
system.
It was not conducive to having fun at all.
Dude,
I did.
when
I didn't say
Manson was
anything-
running
yeah.
around killing people, that was the shit.
I didn't say anything bad about it.
Look at that view. You can see the cactus and the coyotes.
Oh, isn't that good?
I fucking love it.
You loved it so much you moved states.
I would listen. I could
Look at
get a
the.
house
I mean,
there.
come on. That's. We're starting to
Tim,
get crazy.
You're talking to the wrong guy. I love
I know.
this house.
I know.
I love the chairs. Well, listen, I don't
Look at the
believe
chair.
in-
Look at that chair.
I don't believe in backs to chairs because I have good posture. Look at how I sit.
I left 4 dishes, and these people treated
Well, why
me
the fuck didn't you just clean those 4 dishes and we'd have no
because
problems?
I'm paying a massive cleaning fee. This
Why?
is
Save that money.
Well, no.
Donate to starving
You
kids.
have to pay it. It's free. You have to. You're forced to.
Is that the cactus you broke?
No, that's a cactus. It was broke when I walked in.
Was it broke?
It was because somebody was probably, I don't know, shoving in their pussy. It was broke when I walked in.
The
It was
most
broke
epic
when I
hallway
walked
you've
in.
ever seen.
Yeah,
That's
is
not
that
true.
really? Is that the most
That's not
epic
true.
hallway you've
That's
ever
not
seen?
true. I've been to some nice houses. That's not true. I like that espresso machine though.
It's
I like a
all
lot of this house.
fine.
I like this house.
It's
I
all
do.
fine.
I like this house a lot.
It's all fine. The women were out of control, and again, if you look at my review, I said nice things.
I think I
I've
need
always
to be
said
your
nice things.
liaison to lesbians.
I've always said nice things, and they just said to me like I was a horrible guest. If you look at their review of me, they said I was a horrible guest.
Why were you horrible?
Well, they said I left the house in disarray and I broke the cactus and whatever, and nobody broke anything.
You know what you should do? Well, you can't do it anymore because you're not in an Airbnb anymore. But you should just make a video of you leaving the house, and then no one can say shit.
Well, I'd like to get back on Airbnb because I made them. I spent money on there, and that's where I would go and use to travel and not do hotels. I would do Airbnb. Especially
move.
when you have an opener and you have people, you come in with people,
you
have
go
a
to Whole
podcast
Foods,
producer.
Get some nice,
Yeah, it's much better.
nice food.
So I'd like to go back on Airbnb, but we'll see what happens. That's okay.
Is there an avenue for reconciliation?
I don't believe so.
These ladies, whoever you are, ladies, Tim's a good guy, and I'm your fan. I'm a fan of you. I like what you did with that place. I like it. I like the chairs with no backs to them. I like it. I like the weird chairs.
Yes.
I like your view. I like your house. Look at that. You can sit out there by the pool and watch that guy with the ripped abs and his girlfriend fuck.
I mean, this is like a FEMA tent.
No,
this is like
it's
a
not.
FEMA property.
That's not. That's
This
not.
does- would you get a tarantulas and,
It's
and
not.
lizards and I mean,
Scorpions.
The whole thing's
It's a nice
nuts.
little pool. It's a beautiful view. Look, those people are enjoying it. Why can't you enjoy it?
They're not real. Those people don't
hot,
exist.
The hot guy and his hot girlfriend, they're real.
They're not real. They don't exist.
They work out at the Onnit gym. They're right down the street.
They hired these people. These are not
They're
Americans.
a mile away
I
from us.
speak
We can
for
visit them
You're
right
a
now.
Hollywood elitist. I speak for Americans.
But I live here.
I know, but that doesn't matter. I speak for Americans who make hot dogs and sometimes leave the plates of the thing because we're paying a $450 cleaning fee. And I just think that we should be able to, you should be able to come in and clean it. You know what I mean? You love the house so much, you clean it, ladies. So anyway, I'd like to get back on there, but I won't be allowed, and that's okay too, because
Maybe they will let you back on.
I would imagine not. I violated some safety protocol. I don't know.
Which protocols?
The safety one.
Which one is the safety?
The one where you can't threaten to burn down people's homes, I think. I spoke to my lawyer. He said to just leave it alone. My lawyer was like, just leave it alone. He goes, I don't know what you're doing. I'm like, I'm in a high-octane war with a few desert lesbians, there's 2 desert dykes that are gunning for me, and I'm going to I'm going to ride this till the wheels go off, and my lawyer's like, hey, man, what are you doing? So
What am I doing? I'm boosting up my fucking podcast.
Yeah,
stupid.
I'm trying to fight the good
How do you think
fight.
I get paid? That's what you tell them.
Yeah.
How do you think I get
That's
paid?
a good point.
No.
So, I mean, I didn't involve Alex Jones. Could have. Chose not to.
Don't do that.
I'm kidding.
That's nuclear. That's
I'm
the nuclear
joking.
option.
That's the nuclear option.
Yeah, don't.
Yeah.
Because he'll find some reason.
He'll
why
say
it's
the Airbnb
connected
didn't
to-
exist.
Yeah.
But we'll figure it out.
He'll find some
He'll say
reason why
that-
it's connected to the globalists, or
Yeah.
Satanists, or
Yeah, something. So eventually I quit that job because I was like, I got to get out of the sales world, which I'd been in since I was 22, 21, really. I had been in sales. And then I left it when I was like 28. I just on and off, just mortgages and then copiers, always been in sales. And then the only job, I saw guys like on a tour bus and they were just yelling at tourists on a bus that was going through Times Square. And I was like, well, that guy can't have a boss. There can't be any background check to do that job. These tour guides in New York, they were lunatics, these people, you know. One woman, I swear to God, would just go on and talk about a knee operation. And the people in there were trying to learn about the Empire State Building. She would say, she would hear it. She'd go, I've had 9 operations on the same foot. People would, but people would tip her at the end. It was like, it's, you know, she was an animal, but people felt bad for her. So they... So they fill the tip cup up at the end. So I was like, oh, these people are also in their own way con artists, degenerates, marginalized figures from society. You know, some of them thought they were historians. Some of them, you know, they were all full of shit. You know, these guys, they barely knew anything. I was just like, I'll go up there and my whole goal was like, I'll make everybody laugh. So I would, you know, pass a building and be like, what the fuck's going on in there? You know, I'm like, you know, I was like, you know.
What were you making doing that?
15 an hour. 15 an hour, but checks, so that's bad. So 40-hour work weeks, I never left with a check over $350. Okay? But cash tips every day of either no money when I was lazy and didn't want to give the tour, and a Russian woman punched me in the stomach once. Because we were sitting on the thing. It was first of all the Russians are poor. They come in January, February. They have no fucking money. They're poor. They come the coldest time of the year. And then you'd have to do a tour for one Russian couple. And the thing with Russians is they have beautiful blue eyes like huskies, but they have no souls. So when you see, because they have 100 years of atheism, so they have no soul. So there's not, you know, so when you look in their face, you see there's nothing there. So I just sat on the bus, and this Russian woman said to me, she goes, you give tour, you fat fuck. I said, listen to the automated tour. I said, I'm not doing it today. You're the only people on the bus. She goes, I pay money. You give tour. You give tour. And I said, no. Because I could put it on the automated when I was being lazy. And the automated would be like, and the automated was supposed to be hooked up with a GPS, but it was never where it should be. So we'd be by Central Park, and they'd be like, you are seeing the 9/11 memorial. And everybody would look out, like, where's 9/11? You know, they had no idea because the GPS. These companies don't care because these buses, there's no repeat business.
Right.
You just, you bang them. Bill Burr has a great thing where he talks about the guys who sell tickets to these buses. They're all Africans and Haitians, and they all have deep machete scars in their faces. They make $8 or $9 grand a month, and they send that all back to Africa. I think Burr, I haven't heard of it, but Burr, somebody told me that Burr either talks about it on a podcast or does a bit about it, but they're aggressive salesmen. They'll fight each other in the street, and then once the tickets are sold, it's over. You're not going to complain about this. What, are you going to go find the office and complain about what I said or did? Who gives a shit? So if I was feeling lazy, but if I was really killing it, I could walk off the bus with $200 in cash. If I was really killing it, like pizza here, cheesecake here, here's the best steaks, here's the great sandwich, here's the best blocks to walk. You want to see mansions? You know, I could kill it if I wanted to. And then a Russian woman, you know, she had it, so she got up, and her boyfriend, this was hilarious, her boyfriend, because I guess she hit him too, he wasn't even like present. It's the thing with certain Russian people, like he just sat there frozen like he was dead. And she got up and she goes, "You give Tor," and just socked me in the stomach. Hard. You know, it's kind of demoralizing. So I had to pick up the fucking microphone now and be like, all right, this is the Dakota where John Lennon lived, you fucking cunt, you know? And then I gave the tour for the rest of the,
What a great job, because you were doing stand-up.
Yeah, I was doing stand-up on a bus.
You're basically doing fucking
I'm doing stand-up comedy on a bus all day, saying whatever the hell I want, getting some complaints, but my boss didn't care because he doesn't give a shit.
How many tours a day?
2 to 3 tours a day. It was brutal. So in the heat, it was brutal because it's a metal bus and everybody gets up there and everybody's pouring sweat and people are, because New York's not a pleasant city to visit. It's beautiful. It's amazing. It's the greatest city in the world, but it's not a relaxing vacation. So you're dealing with people that are like, they're all stressed out because they got a Broadway show they got to get to. They get this, they get that. They want to see the Statue of Liberty. They want to go up in a helicopter. They want to do 9 things. All these fat people from Ohio, they want to see Central Park, but they don't want to walk through it. So they're like, what do we do? I can't walk through. So, you know, so they won't go into the subway. They think everybody's going to stab you with an AIDS needle. And I'm like, the subway is safer than up here right now, you know? Go down there. It's safer than, you know. And you deal with all those people, I would just make them laugh every day and then do spots at night. So that was the job. And then once I started getting a little bit going, I did the Montreal Comedy Festival 2016. I took the bus out. I sold tickets and did it for the New York Comedy Festival, and people bought tickets, and I just did like a crazy tour in New York and just basically said this was my fucking life. And then fans of like my podcast and shit got to sit on the bus and see what I used to do, and it was hilarious, you know, because I would talk about like human trafficking and drugs and you know, my roommates and, you know, everybody on Broadway. They go, "Oh, it must be amazing to be on Broadway." I said, these people are all one broken ankle away from living on the street. Then you see a college, like a high school theater group would come and their faces would go down. I said, they don't make any money. I said, I know the woman at Phantom of the Opera. She drinks soup out of a cup and stares at the rain in the food emporium. I said, every day she wants to put a gun in her mouth. I said, so let me tell you, I said, and if she falls and sprains her ankle, she's going to be living in the street, and she's going to have to go to the suburbs and fuck her way into the middle class, and then she's going to have to work at your school, which I thought was funny. But one of the kids started crying. But I'm like, this is what it is. This is what life is. And that was like my tour, and that wasn't for everybody.
You know, I learned a big lesson last year. I had to go to New York and spend 18 days to shoot a movie. And I didn't, you know, I grew up on 88th Street.
Right.
That was fucking 40, 50 years
Long
ago,
time ago.
guys. You know, I left New York in 83. That was a long fucking time ago.
Yeah.
You know, in my mind, I wish it was still the same New York.
Right.
So I don't know where to stay.
Right.
They told me you're going to be picked up on 36th and 3rd every day. You got to meet there. So I figured, let me get a hotel close to that. I don't want to stay in Jersey. You have to come over the ferry.
Right.
You know, and I made a mistake. I stayed at a hotel where all that shit goes down.
Yeah.
The fucking black guy with the axe selling.
Yeah.
Bus
Where did
station.
Do you remember where you stayed?
I'd rather not say.
Okay. I think I
They
almost
gave
know.
me a rate. They were nice people, but I had to leave.
Yeah.
Like, I had to leave.
Yeah.
That area, and I would work out of Dangerfield. And I remember saying that New York, before you go to New York, you have to take a tourism class.
Yeah.
Like, you have to go somewhere, like, before you go to New York.
Yeah, you got to do a little.
You got to do something.
Yeah.
Like, and I can't even, like, even Chicago's too big for you.
Right.
Let's start somewhere small and work yourself up.
Yeah.
Because you cannot be a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
I saw a lot. Like, I made the mistake and stayed. I was there for 3 weeks. The first hotel was a cool hotel, but a bit too cool for Uncle Joey.
Right. Yeah, I
You
hate
know,
those hotels.
Bit too cool.
Hate 'em.
People drinking upstairs.
Right.
No room service. The breakfast was English. You know. If I
Yeah.
want lamb chops for breakfast, I'll let you know. I want 2 fucking eggs with fucking. So I had to walk
little
around
too
the
hip.
corner. It was
Yeah.
too hip. The only thing that
The room's cold,
the room was cool. The
Okay.
first night I had a fucking. I couldn't find anywhere to eat. New York City. Walked 5 blocks. Finally, I found the diner, and they had a cool little Greek diner.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
was
yeah.
great. Second week, I stayed in the Heart, right by the garden. That was the biggest mistake.
Yeah.
Of all time.
That's a problem over there.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Getting in and out of there was a nightmare. I remember
Yeah.
nights. The hotel had 10 elevators.
Yeah.
That's how many people were staying in there. Every time you got in the elevators, you thought you were in Las Vegas. People coughing. Forget about now with the
Coronavirus,
fucking
yeah.
virus. Forget about
Well,
it.
people, New York gets 50 million tourists every year. Think of that. It's crazy. 50 to 60 million every year that come in. And they come in primarily from July through December. So it's sandwiched into, and then January, February, you get a little break. January, February, March, you get a little break.
Cold as fuck.
Yeah, but then once April, May starts, they start ramping up again. And then once you get to July, forget it. I mean, and I worked in Times Square, and I remember what it felt like to get up every morning and then have to go into Times Square and be standing with a cup of coffee on, 50th and 7th with a tour bus, 2 tour buses, and a line of people with tickets. All these people, and I never check tickets. They used to get mad at me. They used to go, "You got to check these people's tickets." I go, "I don't give a fuck. They could be showing me anything. They want to ride the bus, they're going to ride the bus." I'm saying nobody wants to do this. Nobody's getting on these for free. I had to explain this to the people who own the company. I go, "Nobody wants to do this shit except these idiots. Trust me." So none of my friends are getting on. Nobody's getting the better of me. They all have fucking ticket. And he's like, "Well, some of them abuse the ticket and ride for an extra day." It's like, buddy, who gives a fuck? So I never checked anybody's tickets, but you would have to get them in the bus. They were hot. It was disgusting. There was no bathroom on the bus. People would come up to you, Arab guys would come up to you, always try to make deals. You go, "You want to pull over? I get cafe for you. I get cafe for my wife. I get cafe for me." I go, "We can't. We're on a tour bus. We can't pull over for you to get coffee for your wife. Like, this is crazy, But it was just that area of New York is like, I liked it, and now I go back to it and I go, I'm in it for a few minutes. I go, okay, I get it. But there was something about it that gave you energy if you didn't have it. Like, if you needed energy, it was a drug. It was a straight shot of adrenaline every single day, main line. And I'd do 2 or 3 mics and then eventually shows every night. And I was like awake and I could do it. And I was like, I'm sucking all the energy out of the city, because that's the center of energy in the city, is that area. Yeah. My mother always believed that. But again,
That's a
schizophrenic.
weird conspiracy theory, though, right? Isn't
That's
that a weird
one I
one?
don't really get into.
Yeah.
I don't want. Yeah, those are the ones that are out there. I don't really get into that. I don't go near the moon. I don't go near. I'm not an OJ truther.
Are you a Gulf of Tonkin guy or Operation Northwoods?
Those are all true.
Yeah.
There's nothing. Those are all true.
Operation Northwoods is my favorite.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
They talked about bombing a ship
Yeah.
with people on it.
They were going to blow up a drone jetliner and blame it on the Cubans.
Yeah.
They were going to attack Guantanamo Bay, arm Cuban friendlies, and have them attack Guantanamo Bay.
Crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, that was not that long ago.
I know. That's why we need you back.
God, I can't do it.
Well, you know what? I got mad.
Conspiracies are too fucking. It's too exhausting.
I got exhausting because I would do a show and then somebody would come up to me after the show and they'd be like, they'd show me a pizza menu. I swear to God. And they go, "You see that?" And I go, "No, well, what is it?" They go, "That's the NAMBLA symbol." And I'm like, it says garlic knots. And they're like, "You got." No, they're like, "You got to really look at it."
Oh.
And I'm like, all right, I can't go the rest of my life with that.
Well, they look for it in everything. Everything's a conspiracy. And then when it comes back to you and they say, "Oh, Tim is involved in this."
Right.
And then you go, "Oh, I see how this works." People
Yeah.
just make shit up.
Yeah.
And then they believe it.
Yeah, the CIA is now getting involved in podcasting.
Yes,
With you
they're-
guys. You're their first show, but they're going to get a few others on.
They're deeply involved in stand-up.
started a
sort of
network.
like the Russian trolls. That's what they're
Deeply
doing.
involved in stuff. I love the idea of the CIA going and watching sets and be like, who's getting passed at the store?
Oh, you don't know. I have a friend of mine who thinks that the CIA started Jim Morrison and Jimi Hendrix.
There's a book about that called Weird Scenes Inside the Canyon, written by a guy named Dave McGowan.
Yes.
And I'm going to tell you right now, Joe, it's kind of interesting. I'm going to tell you, it's kind of interesting. There was a lot of cult shit going on in Laurel Canyon.
I'm sure, probably about pussy.
There was a lot of weird shit going on. The CIA, the Rand Corp was all over there. There was a lot of shit happening.
Well, I'm sure there was a lot of shit happening, but there is not a fucking intelligence agency in the world that can create a Jimi Hendrix.
No, of course. And they're not
You
sitting
know?
there. That book was like that they were managing the birds.
Yeah.
The CIA was like, they were like, no, it's Mr. Tambourine. It was like a CIA guy going to be like, it's Tambourine Man. Yeah. Play a song for me.
Imagine being in that time in the country when everything was just falling apart left and right around us. Vietnam War, Kent State, just fucking Nixon's the president.
Yeah.
It's just chaos left
Yeah.
and right. There's
Yeah.
no internet.
Yeah.
Everyone's doing drugs. It must have been wild.
It must have been amazing.
I mean, I always think about that Hunter S. Thompson quote about, like we talked about the 60s and that in the 70s, it was almost like the wave crested and then just pulled
It's crashed
back.
from Fear and Loathing in Las
Yes,
Vegas.
yeah.
But I'm a big, I'm a Kennedy guy. I think there's something really shady with that.
Yeah, for sure.
For sure.
For sure.
And in that book, there's some amazing stuff about
Now,
that.
this book that you gave me is
Yeah.
Family of
Secrets. It's a guy, Russ Baker, who's a legit journalist, and it's been praised by Dan Rather and Bill
trying
Moyers.
to drag me in, bro.
I'm trying to get you in. Let me tell you right now, this will get you in. It'll
doubt
get
it.
you in.
I don't have that kind of time for
George
this.
H. Did you know that George H.W. Bush called the FBI and said that he thought he knew who the killer of JFK was? Did you know that?
No. He
You didn't
called
know?
them?
Yeah, he called the FBI in Houston.
Hey,
and he said,
what's up? It's George.
George Bush, I'm in Tyler, Texas, and I think I know who the killer is. And he informs on this guy, James Parrott, and James Parrott ended up being like one of his staffers. It was this weird cover story he kind of planted, and that came out in a memo. And there was another memo. These are declassified FBI memos, Freedom of Information Act. There was another memo that said, after the assassination, J. Edgar Hoover briefed George Bush of the CIA. The problem was George Bush should not have been working for the CIA at that point. He should have been just a private citizen. So it suggested he was working for the agency for a very long time. And he was made the director of the agency for 1 year after the family jewels came out, which was this whole thing where the CIA went to Congress and they admitted that they had done all these things from, coups and fomenting revolutions in countries. And they made him the director for 1 year after that happened to make a clean break from all of the nefarious activities that the agency had been involved with. But if you take that memo to mean that he had an existing relationship with them, he was actually just becoming because it made no sense to anyone. They were like, why is this guy that everyone called a lightweight becoming the head of the CIA after the CIA just admitted to all these horrible things?
They called him a lightweight?
Yeah, he was like, I think Kissinger had said to Nixon, like, he's a lightweight. They made him ambassador to China. He was never a guy that had serious political capital, and he was made the head of the CIA. And then after that memo was unearthed, people were saying, oh, this was an extension of the cover-up. He was being made the director at this very interesting time in history because he actually had worked with the agency forever, and he was not at all a lightweight. He was a serious operator, and he was going in there to kind of clean up and transition them into a new era. I'm telling you.
I'm already out.
You're
already
out?
Done. Yeah.
How are you out?
I can't listen to that.
It's good. It's great, though.
I need current shit.
I know, but
I
this
need
is what
some like Julian Assange. I need something right. I need some Edward Snowden.
I know the Bushes are done. All right,
Can't do the Bush anymore.
I'll get an
It's
Assange
not
book.
enough.
I'll get an Assange book.
I can't get in there.
It's fair. Listen,
I'll
I'm telling
in
you,
the Clintons.
if
I'll dabble in the Clintons.
If you read a chapter of this,
yeah.
If you read a chapter of
Okay.
this,
You give me a cookie.
I don't have a cookie, and if I do, I'm taking it. But you'll be. It's very interesting, and it's a well-written book because it's not reckless and sloppy.
I'll read the first chapter. I promise.
Thank you.
I will. Yeah.
just-
Listen, a buddy of mine gave me David Lifton's Best Evidence on the Kennedy assassination.
Okay.
And that got me into conspiracy theories. This is like 92.
And I get it. You're at the end of the road now where you're like, this is
Done.
because a lot
Tired.
of people are full of shit in that world.
A lot.
A lot of them. And that's what people don't realize.
Well, then it gets deeper and deeper and deeper and more preposterous. Have you ever Googled hashtag space is fake?
No, but that sounds amazing.
There is a thriving space is fake community.
Have you ever been in space?
No, good point. Could be fake.
Come
Prove
back.
it.
Come back to us, Joe.
Prove it, bro.
No, what is space? Come back to us.
Well, it's an extension of flat Earth. It's like for people that think the flat Earth is not stupid enough.
Too conservative.
They go deeper. It's like it's not stupid enough.
Yeah, they
go
think
deeper.
for those flat Earth cucks, they want to move into space. They want to go to space is fake.
Yeah, you want to know what's really up.
Space is fake.
Space is fake. Yeah.
Crazy.
Well, I mean, I think there are hundreds of thousands of people that think that the Earth is flat. Hundreds of thousands. Educated Western American human beings that think the Earth is flat.
That is wild.
It is fucking crazy.
It's interesting.
It's a lot of people that just get educated from YouTube. The Guardian actually had an article about it. I sent it to Eddie, and Eddie laughed at me.
See, I think Eddie's kind of rational in a lot of ways. Because I've had conspiracy talks with him.
About what?
About, the one that we had was insane a little.
Oh, he's got
about
some
how
insane
the
ones.
government was attacking Malibu.
Well, he's the one that
Him
came
and
up to me
Tripoli and
about
Sam were talking about that they were using direct energy weapons, and I was like, I don't know if this is
attacking Malibu with
That's
what?
I was like, why would they attack Malibu? Well, the fires.
Yeah.
But I'm like, they're rich. Why would they attack Malibu? It's the rich people.
The fire started near my fucking house. They didn't even start in Malibu. They flew through the air. I was one of the first evacuated.
Right.
These fucking theories are so stupid. It's dry as shit.
Yeah.
A fire hits and the winds are going crazy. Oh, did they make the wind? They made the wind.
I'm sure
They've always made the wind. The wind has always been the CIA.
They've always made the wind.
Yeah, it's just, and there's no rest. There's no peace.
I know.
There's no living in the moment. It's
Do you
like
think
a
you get to
constant
a
distraction.
certain point, you go, I just don't even want to know. Because there's horrible things going on. There's horrible things going on.
Okay. What do you think is like the worst shit going on right now?
Human trafficking is very
Yes.
bad. Horrible.
Horrible. And
Multi-billion-dollar industry. That's not Subway sandwich artists are paying for that.
Right.
Rich people, some of them are involved in some very bad things.
Yes.
And their tracks are they're covering their own tracks.
Yeah, like that Jeffrey Epstein
Yeah,
guy.
all of that stuff, dude.
That Clinton visited him. And he's got an island
he's got a
somewhere.
Anyone with an island. And hanging out with Bill Clinton.
Yeah.
If you have an island and you're hanging out with Bill Clinton,
Hey,
there's a problem.
where's the Matas?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's a crazy. All of that stuff is very disturbing. And he got a sweetheart deal because he wouldn't inform on anyone that was on his plane. And now the Justice Department's looking at that again. It'll probably be fine. They'll probably just let him.
With a guy like that, like, what? I mean, how much does he know? How does a guy
knows
like that
everything.
stay alive?
Because it's good. He's not going to say anything. He's not going to talk.
I wouldn't trust him.
If
I was on that plane.
I think that's the other thing about. See, the aversion to conspiracies is you go like, people would talk. The reality is people wouldn't talk. If you were from a prominent family, if it had been like a religion to stay silent, if you had had CIA training, these people don't talk. And we know that there have been plots that have gone unknown for a very long time, including the coup in Iran.
Sure.
So a guy like Jeffrey Epstein is so involved, so deep, he knows he'll get killed. He won't say anything.
Yeah.
He's not going to say anything.
Plus, he doesn't want to go to jail.
He doesn't want to go to jail, and he doesn't want to say anything.
Admit all the things that he did.
Yeah.
So weird. The child thing is the creepiest of all.
It's
the
gross,
things.
and
It's the
unfortunately,
scariest.
it's a real thing.
Yeah.
So people you could talk about. There's the conspiratorial angles, the bullshit, but then there's the real fact.
Well, there's Sandusky.
Catholic Church.
100%.
That's the other
Catholic
problem.
Church.
The people that are
100%.
in love with conspiracies never care about private prisons,
Right.
or the Catholic Church. And I'm like,
Right.
guys, this is not even debatable.
Right.
We're not even debating.
Right.
Private prisons are ruined. Kids are being sold into slavery.
Right. How about
horrible.
that judge in Pennsylvania? That was
crazy.
taking underage kids and just giving them sentences, ridiculous sentences for shit.
That's crazy.
In exchange for money.
That's not right.
And now he's in jail. Yeah, it's there's some darkness in the world. It's undeniable. And when something like Sandusky, when that Penn State thing comes out, and you're like, wait a minute, how long was this going on for?
Yeah, and how many people
Everybody
knew? Everyone knew? How does everyone know?
Yeah.
It's
and
crazy.
Paterno he died quick.
But this is what of course. But
I mean, he must
was
have been just destroyed.
But this is what I mean about people, whereas like YouTube's gonna like censor conspiracy theory type stuff. I'm like, all of those things would have been called conspiracy theories at one point.
Yes.
Catholic Church,
Right.
Sandusky,
Yeah.
Abu Ghraib. They said it was a few
Sure.
bad apples. It was a labyrinth of torture prisons. It was a program designed by the Pentagon, the CIA. It's crazy.
What is the YouTube gonna do? They're gonna censor.
Well, they're gonna stop
conspiracy?
recommending. I think they're gonna stop recommending conspiracy videos, from what I've heard.
But I was reading that thing that you were telling me about, Jamie. This whole like porn or child porn or pedophile network.
They're setting up a what is this? A pedophile YouTube? What's going on? Wait.
Communication network. They were communicating with each other in YouTube comments.
They responded yesterday and they said that they disabled comments on tens of millions of videos and deleted a lot of accounts that were they were communicating in the comment section of like little kids cheerleading and whatnot.
Now, were they communicating to try to share child porn, or were they communicating to molest kids?
I don't know in the way pedophiles communicate in their network, but
Well,
all I read
Jamie,
was
Jamie,
they
quite
were
frankly,
communicating.
I'd like you to do a little bit more
Yeah,
work.
pull up an article.
Do some
on
due
it.
diligence on the pedophile.
I want
That's
you
like
to
when
go
the FBI
under the dark
I
web.
need a burner computer for that.
download Tor and let's get moving
Throw
because
it
we
away.
got to figure shit out.
Yeah, you got to get a VPN. Are there?
Well, that's like the FBI will take over a child porn site on Tor and then run it for a year, like on the dark web. What is that?
What?
What's going on?
Imagine what they see too. You
It's
can't
but there's
unsee
that's
that shit.
that's a problem.
It is a problem because
that's not
you're,
good.
You're causing.
That happened in that R. Kelly case. There's a video of him doing something with an underage girl, and like I think some people at CNN, it's like we've seen it, and that's led to him going. And it's like, well, what did you watch? And is that legal? It probably is legal because you're watching it under the guise of finding out if it's
Yeah.
so.
Rough.
Yeah, that kind of shit is real, and the fact that there's these networks of people that are trying to cultivate these experiences.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. But if you're a rich person, you have that sick predilection, you're gonna find a way to.
Brief thing of what they were doing, like a for example.
Okay, they posted remarks that praised the girls, asked whether they were wearing underwear or simply carried a string of sexually suggestive emojis. About 2 years ago, hundreds of companies pulled money from YouTube over concerns about ads showing up next to problematic content from terror or hate groups and videos that seem to endanger or exploit children. I think, we've talked about this before with YouTube, with the issues that we've had with them. They have way too much content and way too few people.
Right.
There's no way they can watch all of it. And when shit like this, where people are doing things in the comments, it's almost impossible to check.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just the YouTube